Hello, listening people.
Good evening.
You are listening to Spin Polish Presents Unappreciated Masterpieces. I'm Ryan Sliwinski.
And I'm Bartek.
Yes, Bartek. Bartek, what's your last name?
Kasprzyszak.
Oh, and what's that?
My last name.
Thank you. We are called Spin Polish, likingly because we're always spitting, and we both happen to be Polish. Isn't that correct, Bartek?
Yes.
Yes. Our names are not... Wouldn't it be... No. I was going to say, wouldn't it be great if it turned out that we didn't know that our last names weren't actually Polish, that they were actually something like Romanian, and we were just lying these 30 plus episodes? Like, there's some real Polish listener listening going, Sliwinski, that's not Polish, it's Romanian, clearly.
Yeah, and they'll be like, Bartek's last name? No, that's clearly accidentally smashed the keyboard.
Yeah. So... You're listening to Unappreciated Masterpieces. What do we do on Unappreciated Masterpieces? Well, we do feature-length audio commentaries for movies that seemingly don't deserve a commentary. We grab those films, those amazing little gems of movies that deserve more love, that deserved to be talked about, ones that aren't completely forgotten from the psyche of the public, but ones that aren't in the forefront of the mind of the public either. The films that just deserve to be appreciated masterpieces. But at the moment, they're unappreciated masterpieces. Isn't that right, Bartek?
Yeah, stop it.
And what is the movie that should be in the forefront of everyone's mind that we're going to be checking out today?
The movie that we are watching today is Same Kłopoty.
I don't know what that is. Look, this is embarrassing. I know that I said my name is Polish, but I know I'm Polish, but I don't know how to speak it. Maybe if you were speaking in Romanian, I don't know. But I don't know what movie we're watching. What are we watching?
I said Same Kłopoty.
Oh, well, obviously, now that you've repeated it, I know what it is. I mean, obviously, I still don't speak Polish, but if you say it 3 times, then I'll really get what it is.
Should I say it slowly?
No, faster.
Same Kłopoty.
Oh my god, I know what the movie is now. No, what are we watching? Seriously.
We are watching the movie from 1991. That's Italian for one.
Oh, I thought it was Polish for a moment.
Nothing But Trouble.
Nothing But Trouble? 1991? Starring Chevy Chase and Demi Moore, obviously, and let's not forget Dan Aykroyd.
Dan Aykroyd. Who
Who also directed, wrote, produced, and starred in this. He's the Tommy Wiseau of 1991.
Yeah, he also wrote it, I think.
I said, yeah, wrote it. He co-wrote it. And so we're doing Nothing But Trouble, the 1991 comedy?
Yeah, it's comedy.
Yeah. And of course, we don't always do these alone, do we, Bartek? On the rare occasion we have, but we need a noble person to join us. Someone who's, I wouldn't say brave, but a hero is definitely a word I would use. And who's the hero that we have today? Bartek.
Is that the answer, Bartek?
No, who is the hero? You're a hero in my eyes, Bartek. But who are we joined by today?
Ladies and gentlemen, we're doing an American movie, for the first time, maybe. Have we?
No,
we've
done many Americans.
Oh, my mistake. Okay.
No, American movies, not many Americans.
Oh. Well, the poignancy's gone, I guess, but, we have someone with an accent from the Americas today.
South America or North America?
I think the North
Ah,
America.
damn.
The one that, the states where they're glued together, I think it's called. The glued together states of America.
Yeah, so who is it?
Okay.
I'm at the edge of my seat, literally.
Our guest today is Mischabella Anchan.
Did you get it right?
Yeah, and I'm dying here.
Cough it up, Mischabella. We can't lose our one true hope
gosh.
for salvation. Mischabella. Mischabella. I love it. Every time I say Mischabella, it's one of those names where I have to repeat the last half of it 3 times. Like Mischabella, Bella, Bella, Bella.
It's 4 very good syllables.
Yeah, it's pretty good. Are you proud of your own name?
I am very proud of my own name.
Yeah, you're not one of those people who are like, oh, it's not the most common name for a girl about in the modern age. You're not like one of those people like, damn, I wish I was called Elizabeth.
I think when I was younger, I wanted my name to be Isabella.
Isabella?
I
Ooh,
can't
it's
get
no
it.
Mischabella.
The
Maybe
Bella
a
at
bit
the end.
yeah.
Yeah, so, yeah, we got Mischabella. You're here to help us to talk about Nothing But Trouble.
Yeah.
And boy, was this a film.
It was. It's like beyond description, I think, at this point. We really
Yeah.
gotta take it apart, but it's
Yeah, it is. I mean,
really something.
we've all worked on films in certain ways. Bartek,
Yeah.
you've been an extra, and I've been an extra too. And Mischabella, have you been an extra in a movie?
I've been an extra.
And you've worked
Behind the camera.
behind the camera?
On the camera.
So we all have an understanding of the behind-the-scenes process of movies, but this is a movie that I don't think any human could understand the behind-the-scenes process. Only gods like Chevy Chase and, of
Yeah.
course, Dan Aykroyd. Now, what was our relationship with this movie? Bartek, what about you? What was your relationship with Nothing But Trouble? Had you seen it before?
I hadn't heard of it, and when I started watching it, the only thing I read was like the first line on Wikipedia's page for it,
Which was?
which was something like, "Oh, Nothing But Trouble is a 1991 comedy adventure horror film."
Oh, so you went in fairly blind. Did you even know who was in it?
I think I did read it. It's like Chevy Chase.
Chevy Chase?
Chevy Chase.
No,
My
I-
favorite car.
No, I said Chevy.
Chevy?
Chevy.
Don't call him fat. What about you, Mish?
Much like Bartek, I went in quite blind, but I think as I got the description of the movie and I kind of glimpsed the front cover, the movie poster.
You had fair
I
understanding.
felt like I should have known it
Quicker.
a lot earlier than that day that I watched it, because I worked in special effects and prosthetics for the last 2 years, and I should have known that this probably had the most prosthetic work I'd seen, around that era.
In a comedy, especially.
comedy,
like,
yeah.
if you said, oh, it's a sci-fi movie, right?
Yeah.
I can understand.
In a comedy movie, I think. Yeah, no, I'm kind of ashamed that I hadn't
Yeah, you should be
stumbled
ashamed.
across it.
My history with this movie is a long, long, bloody one, if I must say.
Yeah, that's how you
This was
described it.
one of those movies that I've discussed this previously on the show, but I don't know if this was the case with anyone else. But when DVDs were a thing, happening, just building up steam, my parents were one of those. My parents were those people who were like, "Oh, that movie! I know that movie. I'm gonna buy it." Like, even if they haven't seen it, they're like, "I remember that. I'll get it on DVD."
That was from
Like,
our Starsky and Hutch episode.
yeah, that's the DVD. That's my parents, and this was one of those movies. I think they had seen it before, but I don't know if they even liked it very much. But they're like, "Oh yeah, Chevy Chase. I remember this movie. Yeah, let's get it on DVD." And it's one of those movies that my parents, I've been raised on lots of comedies, so I'm a big fan of Chevy Chase and John Candy. Oh, what a legend! And and Dan Aykroyd, and obviously all of these people are comedy gods, and they've starred in pretty much any iconic movie like Ghostbusters, Uncle Buck, National Lampoon's Vacation, all of that kind of stuff. So I was one of those kids. I was a kid watching this, having grown up on all those things I just mentioned, and when you have all of these people in all of those movies in this one movie and is billed as a comedy, you have an expectation. And it's one of those things, why I say bloody is, as a kid, I didn't like this movie because I was just like, it's not funny. That was just me. I'm like, I didn't like it, it's not funny. But now that I've grown up, and I've studied film, and I've studied acting, and I've got a wiser understanding, I now know that 14-year-old Ryan was an idiot, because this movie is a quintessential movie in the style of movies that we do in Unappreciated Masterpieces. This movie is a perfect film in every regard. And we're going to start this perfect little gem. So get your copy of Nothing But Trouble from 1991, not the Laurel and Hardy version. I mean, you could watch the Laurel and Hardy version of Nothing But Trouble, but it would be quite a different experience.
To say the least.
Nothing But Trouble. Get your copy ready, because I imagine all of you have a legal copy with you. If you think you're a real movie fan and don't have this in your DVD collection, I'm ashamed of you. So get it ready, because we're going to start this in 3, 2, 1, play. So this movie has quite a lot of things happening. My favorite thing was the opening. I don't know if it happened with the copies that you watched it on, but the Warner Brothers symbol opens up and there's no music. And then the music just like kicks in like 3 seconds into the Warner Brothers track. And I'm like, okay, this movie's off to a fine start. Because usually it's either, if you're going to have the Warner Brothers, or you're going to have the logo and have music playing, you have it straight from the start, or you wait till after the logo. But this movie's like, see the logo? Give them 3, 2, 1, boom, duh, duh, duh. And this movie has everything. But my favorite part of this is you two went in blind.
Yep.
Yeah.
And you read that it was a horror.
Yeah. So
And you saw the prosthetic makeup.
Yeah.
How did you feel for the first 24 minutes when there was no horror and it was
I
just
know,
a
I was like,
1990s comedy?
What is this?
that
Where could this go from this point? Where's the setup? Yeah.
Yeah.
It was almost like I got blinder.
Yeah,
when I got it.
I was intrigued, obviously, because it went on for quite a while, and I was like, something's gonna happen, but when is it gonna happen? What's it gonna be? Because again, I didn't read the synopsis. I just knew the genre.
Yeah.
I remember, obviously, the plot, but it's one of those things when I watched it this time round, I've been so pumped to watch this movie, because it's one of those movies that when we're doing the show, I'm always thinking, what's the next movie we could do? What's a movie I can add to the giant list? And I remember putting Nothing But Trouble there a few months ago and going, oh yeah, eventually. And then I was laying in bed thinking, what's the next movie we should do? And I just remember John Candy in a dress. And I'm like, that movie.
I didn't even know that.
You're not even the only one who has imagined John Candy in a dress, apparently.
Yeah. So this movie, I mean, you guys went in blind. I did that on purpose. I said to Bartek especially, I'm like, Bartek, do not look up anything about this movie. Like,
No, I don't think you actually did.
Oh,
I just simply didn't.
I was just like, oh yeah. My whole suggestion was go in blind to this, because this movie, it's one of those great horror movies where they don't let you know it's a horror movie, because you got Chevy Chase, you got Demi Moore, you've got, John Candy and all these people, but especially just Chevy Chase, Demi Moore, and these 2 Brazilians.
Yeah.
You think that this is going to be... And here's Chevy Chase, sleepwalking his way through the opening, where he's got a cigar in his mouth and he's playing, guess what? A rich playboy asshole. Not a stretch for him. And you're thinking, oh, okay, this is just going to be some kind of romantic, sleazy comedy with Chevy Chase and Demi Moore, in which, they're both rich assholes and, blah, 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 and maybe some lawyer stuff will happen. But then they take a drive that changed us all. Maybe as good as driving Miss Daisy. I don't know.
There really isn't anything that could have prepared you for
So-
second, third.
What was the tipping off point for you that this movie was going to be a horror movie? Or horror comedy,
Well-
you know what I mean? Like, what was the sign for you? What point?
I would think that it would be when Dan Aykroyd appears.
Oh, when the judge appears, so it took you that long. What about you, Mischabella?
Oh, it took a lot longer.
Not
a lot longer.
Can I guess where it took you? If I had to guess,
Guess
was
away.
it Mr. Bone Stripper?
Yeah. It took me that long to realize there was any horror element to this.
Wow, I remember thinking when watching this time, I was like,
confused.
keen-eyed viewer me going, okay, so what point could it be interpreted that this is going to be a horror setting? And it's as soon as they drive through a sign that says, warning, sinkholes, and then the town is this grey, murky thing with cracks in the ground spewing out smoke, and all those people
then
are
it
just
says
sitting
no
on their
cussing.
rocking chairs, just smoking, giving them the death stare? Or was it the fact that the deputy sheriff constable had a machine gun? I don't know.
That kind of threw me off a little
I love
bit.
this is just Chevy Chase. Like, I feel like he's not acting here. Like, this is improvised, but it's like, thanks for the espresso maker. And what is it? Like, and a bag of shit. Like, I feel like Dan Aykroyd's like, oh, wait, I didn't write that one in there.
Oh yeah, there's Chevy Chase does that a lot in this movie. It reminded me of what's his name? Painful Potter?
Oh, Bob Hope.
Yeah, Bob Hope.
Yeah, Chevy Chase, you know, he's one of those comedians that just has lots of smart-ass quips. And that's what I love about Chevy Chase. Because, fun fact about this, I don't know if you looked up the trivia, guys, but Chevy Chase went into this movie because Dan Aykroyd is a dear friend of his and lots of other friends were working on it. And he didn't like the script. He didn't like it at all. But he thought, oh, you know what? I've worked with these kind of people before. I didn't like the script. You know, I can improvise and work around and we can rewrite it and we make it better like we did with like Caddyshack or this, and this. Dan Aykroyd was not having it and he's just like, no, the script stays. So you could just... I wrote in my notes, I wrote like an extensive amount of notes. Infrequently I would write, poor Chevy Chase, because Chevy Chase looks sad throughout this movie.
He does.
There comes a point where he's just screaming, I just want to go to Atlantic City, and I feel like Chevy Chase literally actually wants to go to Atlantic City. Like, I don't feel like he's in character anymore. So, Mischabella, you know Demi Moore.
Yes, I do.
You know this was her first movie after Ghost.
Was it really?
Yeah.
Is it the hair?
She went nothing but up after Ghost, you could say. Nothing but up. I mean, you know, where could you go after Ghost? Nothing but trouble. Yeah. So, Bartek, do you think Demi Moore's attractive in this movie?
I can't say it was at the forefront of my mind, but I guess.
Was she... Oh, Mischabella, I think you can back me up on this.
Yeah.
Was she so attractive that when she wore a white trench coat, that it would make you, a hungover Bartek who did not want to drive on a trip to Atlantic City, change your mind about driving to Atlantic City?
I forgot about that.
Because that's literally what happens. He's like really wasted. He's like, I don't want to drive. Tell her I can't. Then she opens the elevator door opens and she's basically wearing the exact same outfit, but it's white.
And it's white. Are off.
And the glasses are off. Oh, that's it. If you saw Demi Moore without her glasses on, would you go, fuck yeah, I would tap that? But in this, she's wearing glasses.
My life around.
Her hair is more masculine than Chevy Chase's. She looks like Eddie Munster.
Yeah, Chevy Chase has kind of got a little Donald Trump kind of hair going on, but like less.
I would love to watch a movie in which Chevy Chase played Donald Trump. But you know what? He didn't do an accent or anything. Like Chevy Chase is just like, I'm Donald Trump, you're not, get out of here. Like, because that's Chevy Chase has that great catchphrase, which is, I'm Chevy Chase and you're not. And, like, that's his thing. Like, he's such an asshole.
I love it.
So did you have a favorite character in this movie, guys? Who really struck a chord emotionally with you? Who was someone you really enjoyed?
I like Bobo and Little Devil.
What about you, Mischabella?
I really liked, what's her name? The sister. John Candy.
Oh, Eldona.
Eldona, yeah.
Yeah, wasn't it? It was like Eldona.
I like that she didn't speak.
She was a mute.
She said everything with her eyes.
And she would go like this. My personal favorite character has to be Tupac, who's in this movie.
Oh my god. Nothing could have set me up for that little cameo.
Of Tupac. And in the credits they call him like the number 2.
Number
Pac.
2.
Shakur. So that was my favorite.
Scene.
I love. So here she is. She's in white. She's wearing pearl necklace. You know, he'll give her one later. But you know, she's wearing red lipstick. Ooh, that gets him going. And now he's like, yeah, I'll drive Irish doorman. You know, who also looks after my car. Who's also my best friend. I don't know.
Oh, is this another one of those I'll be home for Christmas situations?
Where he has a best friend he leaves behind. So, oh my god, legs! I mean,
legs.
Okay, look, I'm not a woman, but do you think that is a cool outfit she's wearing, her little play suit? Do you think they're cool?
In terms of practicality, maybe not.
Yeah, it looks like it would give you a serious camel toe.
Not just that, but if you need to expel any bodily fluid.
Nah, she doesn't do that in this movie. She eats lots. She drinks lots of warm Hawaiian punch, but she doesn't need to piss at any point.
At no point.
Oh,
Which
God.
I think is a miracle.
I hate her outfit. Like when she had the trench coat on, I was like, okay, this is kind of neat. And then she takes the trench coat off. I'm like, oh, this looks awkward.
But is it the kind
I thought
of
if it was a
outfit you
dress,
wear-
it would look great. But it's like these awkward shorts. I'm like, maybe it's a 90s fashion.
But is it the kind of thing you wear to Atlantic City?
I don't know. I haven't been to Atlantic City. Do tell me, Mischabella.
Well,
You're
I
American. You've
don't-
been there, haven't you? Everyone's... If you name any place, you've probably been there, right? Hell, yes?
Of course.
So what do you...
Vulcanvania? Yeah.
Depending on the season, I'd say yeah.
What about a giant hat with flowers and
Oh,
that
that is
great
probably
Brazilian
the
outfit?
most appropriate to wear to Atlantic City. I think she's got the full spirit of the city going on there.
Yeah, that's right.
I love that outfit. I love her.
she's a, you know what, I'll be honest. I'll let you go, Bartek, but I'll be honest. If I didn't choose my favorite character so flippantly, which I did, like, this movie's one of those movies where there's so many characters that there are so few characters, you know what I mean? Like, there's so few characters, but they're so big and larger than life that it feels like
It's got, yeah,
there's
a set
15 million
cast.
characters, but there's only like 8.
Yeah.
And they're so larger than life that you just hard to pick. But the Brazilians are really fucking close. If I'm really honest with you. Go on, Bartek.
No. I was just going to bring attention to the fact that they appeared.
I love...
Yeah.
My whole thing about the Brazilians is it's all their fault. Like...
Somewhat, yeah.
No,
Why did I say somewhat?
They literally... Here's my favourite part. What do they want as characters? Here's what they want. They see Chris at a party and they're like, Chris! And yeah, I didn't know what they were saying at first. I thought they were hissing at him. Because they got such thick accents. I was like, and I'm like, what are they saying? And then they literally just say, like, oh, you guys are going on a drive? We like to go driving. Like, they at no point drive the car, might I add. So they like to get driven. That's what they're saying.
Yeah.
And they get in the car and they go, where are we going? Like, they didn't even know. And they're like, and they're like Atlantic City. And they're like, oh, cool. And they list off, like, buildings and places that are in other cities that they want to visit.
Like the Taj Mahal.
Like, they're like, I can't wait to see the Taj Mahal in Atlantic City. So
I love this.
he's pre-programmed maps. That's what it's not even a GPS. There's CDs or like floppy disks of pre-programmed maps that he has to push out and take out and put back in. So once he reaches the edge of this map, he has to push it out, put it back in. Okay, I'm gonna skip way ahead to one question I want to ask because it's so obscure that I'm gonna forget it. But we're talking about the car right now. There's a point later where Demi Moore gets in the car,
Yep.
and it's been like completely deconstructed basically,
It's like a-
and she
like a
tries
golf
to
cart
turn it on and it doesn't work, and then at the end Chevy Chase just says a whole bunch of jargon that I didn't understand, where he's like, oh, you gotta do this to turn the car on. It's like like he was like, you gotta push this button and this button, and you know, it's like, what was that about? Like, is that how cars work? I don't drive. Like, I thought you turn the key, you get the key in, you turn the ignition on, but in this movie, it's like, oh no, it's like you gotta type in a code. Is that how cars work in
I think they were
1991?
trying to
I'm
emphasize
yeah.
the like high techness of this car.
I'm curious to when we get up to that so we can find out.
Yeah, so
Yeah,
this set,
place, yeah.
this set is an old western town, but
I
they just
noticed,
just put a yellow line in the center of the road and say that'll work. I like these bikers. I thought they were going to come back in some way or form.
Not just the bikers, anyone in the town.
Anyone
The whole
in the
town.
Just any character. I thought they were going to come back. I love he doesn't stop, and my favorite part is John Candy as the policeman barely stops himself at the stoplight. Like, they make a point to show that he does stop, but look at this. You watch this and he just barely stops. Like, what was the point?
He just kind of like lightly touched the brakes and that was enough.
Again, I don't drive, but does that town really need a stop sign there?
Was it a T intersection?
It was
seemed
like it
like it
turns
was.
right and then it goes up and it just stops at a building. Like, it's not even like, you know, I mean, did you see it?
Yeah, but the thing is, if you're coming to a T intersection, you're the one who's gonna have to stop and assess that like no one's still going straight.
Yeah.
If people going straight, they don't have to stop.
I love-
The person coming to the end has to.
Yeah, I love that these guys take photos of Chevy Chase in the rear vision mirror to make it like, oh, he's driving. We can't take a photo of him. So
It's
these
artsy.
when you describe the plot of this movie, this is how you would describe it. Well, you know, Chevy Chase, he's a financial, what was it, publisher?
Advisor? Publisher?
Publisher.
Oh, okay.
Publisher. And he meets
Not to be
Demi
confused
Moore.
with a banker.
He meets Demi Moore, who's a lawyer who doesn't know the law. She meets Demi Moore. They've never met before, and she demands to be driven to Atlantic City. And since she wears white, he says yes. And two Brazilians that apparently
Brazilianaires.
two Brazilianaires that we've never met before. No, two Brazilianaires that we barely know demand to be driven, even though they don't know where they're going. They go through this hell. No, they're going to go to Atlantic City. The Brazilians demand to have a scenic picnic, but don't get out of the car. That's my favorite part. I thought they were going to get out of the car, get out and have a picnic, but they're like, we just want to have a scenic view while we're eating in the car. and
Well,
then
they did say that they love drives.
They love drives. and then they go through a T intersection, doesn't go through the stop sign, and John Candy chases them down. The Brazilians, for unknown reasons to me, say, you can outrun him. Like,
Wouldn't the rich stereotype be like, we can afford a ticket?
yeah, right. And that's what Chevy Chase is saying. And it's
Yeah.
like, you can outrun him. Then
Like, you could almost...
Then the police car from the small hick country town in America has nitrous oxide in it, or nitro
Yeah.
power,
Not
and the
just that,
ability
but remote
to
control of the gate.
of the
roadblock.
gate, and my favorite part of this. Okay, we'll end the description here, but my favorite part is they get pulled over eventually because the other cop is waiting for them because this is a cat and mouse game. I guess these cops have done many times before, right? That's the kind of feeling, right?
Yeah.
Hence the gate, and then. She has a machine gun. Yeah, America, right? Machine guns
Yeah.
for
Everyone
cops.
has one.
And he pulls them over, and Chevy Chase tries to brush it off by going, I didn't know you were a real policeman. And my favorite part is, after this high-speed pursuit, John Candy walks up and goes, you failed to make the stop sign back there. I'll wave off the high-speed
high-speed
pursuit.
but it's the stop sign we gotta address.
And the life-threatening danger that you put, not myself only in, but the people driving these trucks. I'll wave that off. But it's the stop sign that I have a real problem with, because you had really endangered lives with that one. I mean, what's happening? I mean, I get it, it's like John Candy's just like a nice guy cop, but at the same time, later on, he willingly lets people get murdered.
Which
So
makes
it's
me,
like, where does he stand?
which makes me wonder, why didn't he like chase them really and make a real presence as soon as they made the stop sign issue? Like, as soon as he saw they just put on sirens, chase them. They looked like they got
Because
fairly
it's
far from the
menacing.
town. But he's the good guy. The
Yeah,
good guy
but
of
he's
the
still
bad
menacing
people.
at this point. We don't know he's a good guy until he's disgusted with
I know-
how the judge treats these people.
I know that, but knowing the full picture...
Yeah, look, Dan Aykroyd's not about the big picture. It's about the small picture, moment by moment. Don't think about the grand scheme of things. So,
Are you telling me that Dan Aykroyd,
genius.
he thought of John Candy in a dress, and he decided, I'm gonna make
A movie.
a movie.
Where he wears it.
Doesn't matter what it's about, just making sure it's a movie where I can have John Candy in a dress. Is that what you're telling me?
Yeah. So, fun fact about this movie is based on a true story. Where Dan Aykroyd back in the 70s was pulled over in the small country town, and he got taken to the local justice of the peace's house and got like judged and everything. And then he
Alright.
took it to like the exaggerated degree that they were like,
You forgot to mention it was like 1 in the morning.
oh,
or
1 in the
something?
morning at night. Like, it's 1 in the morning. And he just amps it up to this like psychopathic comedy, which, look, I don't know if the story was this kind of story, but I would love it if Dan Aykroyd was also with 2 Brazilians, and he's like, I gotta include these Brazilians in there.
Like, where did that come about?
This movie, okay, this movie is a perfect masterpiece in every single way. I mentioned before that this movie's got so many characters, yet there are so few of them. The Brazilians are like 15 characters in 2 people. Like, it is great, but
equate
the
to that
interesting
many,
thing
yeah.
about this is I feel like you could remove 5 of these characters from this movie and would make no difference. And 2 of those would be the Brazilians, and 2 of them would be Bartek's favorite characters, Little Bobo and Little Devil. And the other character could be like, you know, you could even get rid of those freaking gangsters that get pulled out. Like everything you could here's how good it is. You can remove 60% of this movie and it will be the same.
Yeah.
That's a good thing.
Adoptable.
It's malleable. So this film, I just want to do this. Mischabella.
You want to? Oh, right. Okay.
Do you know how much this movie cost to make? Do you know the budget of this movie?
I have no idea.
If you had to take a guess, a ballpark figure, what you think this 1991 comedy horror movie by first-time director Dan Aykroyd cost. Now remember, there's
first and only, I believe.
First and only. This is one of those movies where there are no CG effects, really. There's only, like, the double thing, but lots of practical things. You've worked in film. Have a guess.
And remember, he only just really wanted John Candy in a dress.
He really wanted John Candy in a dress. So, how much do you think?
I don't know.
Choose a number.
2 million.
This film cost $40 million.
What?
And it only made back $8.5 million of its budget.
Yep.
Sorry, what? 14 million.
40
$40
million. And that's one of the reasons.
Just to see John Candy in a dress.
Yeah, pretty much. That, and I think that Dan Aykroyd, you know, from what I've gathered, he's a real eccentric guy. You know, he wanted Ghostbusters to be fucking weird. Like, if you read the original Ghostbusters script, it's set in the future where Ghostbusters are like another like service of the department of this and that. Like, you know, like they're just another government department, and it's like ghosts are just a common thing. Like, it's all dystopic.
Oh, that's
future.
right. He is that guy.
And he's a weird nut job guy. And I feel like this movie was just like him going, you know, I got a lot of gadgets, right? Can we have a movie around my gadgets? Like, it's literally like, I've got this train set. I have a train set that has gravy on it. I have a train set that flicks pickles at Brazilians. Can we do a movie on that?
Ryan, they just mentioned that Flipper's dead.
Oh my god, not Flipper.
And no cussing.
It's weird because Flipper was alive, oddly enough. He came out in 1996, it's 1991.
Yeah.
So
maybe this is in the future.
If you told me that this movie took place in 2040, I would believe you, except for Chevy Chase's car.
I was about to say, yeah.
But even that, you could go, I don't know a car that you can activate by pressing a password and do it.
Oh, the sister Brazilian, one of her line readings in this part right here.
Was great.
I loved it.
What did she say?
It was where she's like, I don't like this place at all.
At all.
Like, the at all. She just, like, made it matter-of-factly.
She's not an actress. She's a famous Brazilian singer.
Okay.
She looks like another American actress.
But she is Brazilian. And
like
I feel like their brother and sister, the Brazilians, I felt like in the original script, they're husband and wife.
Yeah.
But
Their
he's so
relationship
effeminate.
is
This Brazilian guy, he's so effeminate that they go, nah, brother and sister, no one's going to believe that they're married. And then, can we skip ahead to, you know how John Candy, do you remember why John Candy leaves it all behind?
Yeah, he wanted a vacation.
No. John Candy, if you watch this, the Brazilians, spoiler alert, escape this mansion of hell from machine gun fire, might I add.
Yeah.
Yeah, they actually succeed.
They swim through the toxics. And John Candy is tempted to take them back, and they say, you need a vacation. He's like, yeah, that's what I need. And then he says, we can give you all the fish tacos. And then John Candy goes, John Candy grabs them and goes, let's go.
Deal.
Didn't he say you peeled the right banana?
Yes, you peeled
the right banana. He's just like, I love that. John Candy's character, you think he's noble. No, he's in it for the fish tacos.
Yeah.
That's my favorite part of it. Like, I wrote down in my notes, wait, did he say fish tacos? And that's when John Candy goes, all right then. Like, I'm pretty sure he says fish tacos.
Yeah. It's really interesting that the Brazilians, like, they get away really well and just have a good time.
The most annoying, arguably annoying characters in the real world, like, you know, like this world here is all fake country manor crazyville, right? And all these characters are annoying in a very good way. Like, it's good to have, they're all antagonists, right? The Eldona,
anti-hero.
Eldona. Within Vulcanvania,
Yeah.
and the judge and John Candy's an anti-hero, and all this. They're all supposed to be exaggeratedly warped and annoying, and you're not supposed to root for them. But in the outside world of this, with Demi Moore, Chevy Chase, and the Brazilians are most annoying, and they get the happy ending.
Yeah, let's say you take someone who's never heard of this movie and you watch it, and around the point, like partway through the car drive, when the Brazilians have really made their impact on the movie, you suddenly pause the movie and say, "So this is a horror movie? Who do you think's gonna die in this movie?" They're probably gonna say the Brazilians, right?
Yeah, my favorite aspect of this too is for 90% of the movie, Chevy Chase and Demi Moore believe that they are dead. Like, and they have no reaction to it. Like, they do say, "Oh, they're dead. Like, they're probably dead." Like, when they go to the police and whatever. And the way they say it is like, "Oh, we knew these two Brazilians. Oh, they're probably dead." Like Chevy, they're their friends. Like, they just wanted to go on the drives.
Well, I guess for Chevy Chase, they're just clients that are really clean.
Yeah, but they're his best clients.
Yeah.
That's the impression.
Yeah, but it's like the
I
whole...
think at that point he was just over it.
Yeah, he wanted to go to Atlantic City, that's all he wanted.
Isn't it kind of like the idea of like the car salesman? Like when they want to sell you the car, they'll be your best friend. And then once you buy the car...
It's like, who are you?
Typical banker. What I like about this movie a lot is the implied history of these characters, like of the family. Like, you get dialogue about like he was a World War I hero and he lost his leg and the whole banker ruined them and the coal fires, but like all the other stuff, like all the licenses that they keep and like all the kind of building up of the horror of these people. But there's a sympathy behind them, like not too much. Like, you're not saying, "Oh, these poor guys," but you understand where they come from, because it's so easy just to have them be just country bumpkins that are just crazy, like, deliverancy type, like, just there's no real great motivation, but they have a motivation. They have this sense of justice, a warped sense for them, and through what we get in this movie makes sense. Like, it's not right, but we understand it.
Like, if you look at the end product, you've watched the movie, all of the characters, the judge, the one with the machine gun, John Candy in a dress, and Bobo and Little Devil, they've all been established and characterized, and it feels like there's more to their story. It's kind of, and it even ends with like that kind of Nightmare on Elm Street. It feels like, oh no, they're not gone. So it almost feels like they're setting up a franchise of like sequels. Like, this could have been the next Friday the 13th or something.
What would the next one be? Nothing but Meet the In-Laws? I mean, like, what's it gonna be? Like, what's it gonna be? Like, can you imagine the sequel to this? It's like, Nothing but Meet the Parents. And it's just like, Nothing But Trouble meets the parents. And it's just like, what happens in that movie? It's like, are they gonna chase down John Candy? Or like,
are they gonna
what
try
happens?
and find a husband for
Yeah.
Eldona?
Well, again, he's like, what? Well, they're gonna live with Chevy Chase at the end of the movie, so it's just like, is it him having to have them in his apartment, and he's just trying to teach them right from wrong?
Well, no, but like even those horror franchises that I just mentioned, Friday the 13th, Nightmare on Elm Street, and I guess also Halloween, stuff like that. They've all had sequels, and
but they aren't comedies.
I know they're not comedies, but they are horrors.
I like how you said like horrors, like
because this movie is a horror.
I love lots of things in this movie, but I like the fact that it's
You're
built,
pulling on my coat,
and that's what he gets angry about, not the fact that, what is this room? Like, but I love this movie's built as a comedy, yet it's not funny. Like, I like it, don't get me wrong, but there's no point in the movie where I'm laughing.
This actually really surprised me too, because there was one point in the movie where I laughed, and when I did laugh, I'm like, why am I... This movie is a comedy, but this is the only thing that's made me laugh.
What was that?
It was when Digital Underground was there.
And he let them go?
No. When they were playing the song,
Oh yeah.
And then freaking what's that?
The judge?
What's his name? Reeves
Jay
or something?
he's Shia Reeve.
He breaks out the piano.
When Reeve breaks out the piano and starts playing, I just found that really funny.
Yeah,
Because he was really into it, and everyone really liked what he was doing, and
Yeah.
it sounded really good.
Shia Reeve is not really his name. It's like a title, because that's what
Yeah.
the title of sheriff used to be, Shia Reeve. But I think his name's like JP. JP. We do find out what the JP stands for. I just can't remember. Vulcanheiser, right? What a great name. Now, here's one of the Baldwins. This is Billy Baldwin, I do
Yeah,
believe.
I noticed that
You
on
can
the
tell that
website.
it's Alex's fatter, less talented brother. And I'm glad that a Baldwin appeared in this movie. I'm really
And he
glad.
wasn't too different.
No.
His
Could you really
natural self.
imagine Alec Baldwin? I would love it if Alec Baldwin was in this. And this would have been like around Beetlejuice time, might I add. So he would have been thin and attractive. And he would have been like... I mean, what's his act... Okay, this movie, Mischabella, when you watched it and it did enter horror territory, like after you had finished it, what was the general kind of tone you got from this movie? What was the general feeling you had after?
Confusion.
You felt confused.
I felt confused because I didn't even know
What you watched?
what I watched, but like where it fell in terms of genre.
Yeah, it's a groundbreaker.
Because the fact that it took so long to kind of hit as like a horror movie.
I like
Because-
that though. It's such a cock tease.
It's like I'm waiting and waiting and waiting, and then it literally took the bone stripper to kind of
Go
right.
It took the first casualty of the movie.
because
Which
the
is
whole
these guys.
setup, the whole setup was kind of like a comedic thing. I thought,
Yeah.
oh, these characters are
Sorry,
funny. Punishment isn't going to be that harsh, and then
It's gonna be like a
boom!
tickle machine or something.
Yeah.
I said first, but like these four,
They're
are they
the only casualties.
Yeah.
Other than at the end, everyone gets sucked into the land, but
Oh,
then
yeah.
but then the judge says, lucky that all of us survived. So they all survived.
Right.
So this is the moment where I actually laughed in the movie, because I was laughing at a sheer fact that these are the realest characters and the most cartoony characters in the movie. Because I feel like if I was in this situation, I would be this guy right here with the hair laughing and just being like, what the hell?
You know who they reminded me of?
Who?
You've seen the Toxic Avenger?
Yes, of course.
Like the antagonists of those, the group that of friends who like just do dickish things. Like they drive over a kid, and then one of them's like, "I gotta go home. I gotta go to church in the morning."
Yeah, that's interesting. I've got a serious question now. Hold your breath, guys. This is a dead serious question. Mm-hmm. Do you want to fuck Dan Aykroyd in this old man makeup?
No.
Are you sure? maybe if he only had the nose and the
I'm
rest
sure
of his
that
normal
would
face.
suffice for any kind of coitus.
Well,
because
you're
it
not
looks
like a penis.
I like a penis.
But it's like, when did you realize it looked like a penis? Did you know straight away, or when they did that specific shot during the
specific
dinner
shot,
scene where
yeah.
it was like, oh, it's a penis?
I think I might have missed it, so I'm looking out for it this time around.
Okay, because they have two shots in this movie. They have one at the dinner scene, and then one at the end when he's on TV saying, I'm gonna visit my son-in-law.
Yeah.
And he's got a specific penis nose. Like, it's like on close-up shots, it looks like a real penis.
Could I ask a question? This is actually related to Oz the Great and Powerful.
Yeah, go on. Is it about penises?
Who looks more like the Wicked Witch of the West? Is it Mila Kunis or Dan Aykroyd in this movie?
I was gonna say John Candy in a dress. He makes me green. So Dan Aykroyd wrote this with his brother, Peter Aykroyd, who was the Irish doorman
Oh,
at
okay.
the start.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so that's kind of cute. I think this movie has a... Look, this is a weird kind of movie. It's a comedy, horror, and the visual look of the movie and the tone and the characters make this a nasty movie. You know what I mean? There is no moral sentiment at the end. There is no comeuppance for the villains. Everything's kind of bleak and nasty. It's a nasty little movie, but you know what's weird about it? For me, you know, this movie's got a lot of hate from professionals and from general mass. But here's the thing, I feel like this movie's made with, honestly, a lot of love. For a movie that's so hate-filled, so dark and gritty, yet it's supposed to be this kind of whimsical, far-out, surreal comedy, I can feel the love and thought put in by the creators, and that just makes me upset about it not being appreciated.
That's true, because I feel like even whatever it is, as a comedy, as a horror, I feel like there was no kind of shortcuts.
Yeah.
Like, the whole set itself. Like, there's so much in it. Nothing's kind of left, you know, without thought. I really do appreciate it. I don't understand why...
I would want to know what this would be like as...
loved.
I would watch this as a mini-series.
Yeah.
Mini-series of Nothing But Trouble. Like, it's a great movie, but I think it would be great. Like, you know, well, I personally appreciated it. Maybe because I've seen it before. The first 20 minutes where there's this slow build-up. Like, because I like that kind of dramatic kick to the head to the audience that you think, oh, it's got all these people. It's going to be this rip-roaring classic, you know, comedy with Chevy Chase. But then it turns into this weird, fucked up murderer comedy. And I would love that as, like, say a 3 or 4 episode mini series where each episode is like 45 minutes to an hour long, and it's like more on the horror side than the comedy, because I feel like the census complaint is that this is supposed to be a horror comedy and it's not
adventure
too
Adventure, yeah.
fantasy. It's not funny, and that's the unfortunate thing, but it's plenty creepy. I don't think the word is real horror. Well, it is horror, but it's just like, it's unsettling.
I was just going to say unsettling.
I was going to go with the, not so much what it is, but the way it makes you feel. It's like wary. Like, you don't know what they're going to do next.
I like how she flips out at being presented. How she flips out being presented. What was she being presented? Ants on a log.
Ants on a log, yeah.
Is that a typical American dish?
It is.
We don't
like
have it.
An afternoon snack when you're being healthy.
Is it weird that they're having it just before dinner? No, not really. I think it's like an appetizer.
Yeah.
But why is she acting so fucking weird about it?
Because
like,
she's
I would have thought.
probably accustomed to a more particular taste. Like,
but I thought it was like, okay, it's going to be like peanut butter, but it's going to be actual ants. Like, but they're the actual proper stuff.
Maybe, Ryan, it's illegal, and she's a lawyer, and she realizes.
Oh no, it was like too much peanut butter on there, and she like stick it to her
like
finger.
the only one that realizes, that's why she freaks out.
So I watched this with my whole household.
Yeah.
My girlfriend and my housemate, and very mixed reaction. But the real reaction during this dinner scene was absolute disgust and horror. Both my housemate and my girlfriend like turn their heads away when Dan Aykroyd is eating a grey, withered-looking hot dog. And he like splashes mustard on it on his tray and gets it all over his hands and fingers, and he just like wipes it on the hot dog. And he just like starts mowing down this hot dog with his penis nose, and they both looked away and were like, "Oh, that's fun." And that's the thing about this movie. The most fucked up thing you think would be these grotesque babies, which we'll get to. We've mentioned their names, but for me, I think equally the grotesque scenes in this movie is, weirdly enough, him eating a hot dog and him removing his own nose, which comes out of nowhere.
The eating of the hot dog is kind of like usually the eating of a hot dog. Movie is a kind of sensual thing, but you don't want to see a guy with a penis nose eating one.
Yeah, Bartek's like
wolfing it
really
down in front
looking...
of the camera.
No, I see it now. Yeah.
But wait, no, Bartek, you really see it
You'll
in like
see it
this
now.
specific shot.
Yeah.
It's so good. Like, and Chevy Chase reacts. I feel like he's not reacting to the penis nose. He's reacting to, I'm only getting this much money. Like, that's the reaction. He's like, I'm only getting this much for this. I love Chevy Chase. I really do. He's one of those comedians that I honestly do adore, but I hate him at the same time because he's one of those comedians that's like, I'm going to play myself. And I'm like, oh, that's cool. But every now and then he'll do a real character like Clark Griswold from the Vacation movies, who is still Chevy Chase, but he's far removed from himself. And I feel like Chevy Chase could do real great characters, but he just walks in going, I'm Chevy Chase.
I'm going to
You're
try
not.
and get away with being myself.
Where's my money? He walks to a lot of movies with kind of no soul in him. Yeah. And that kind of works in a lot of his films because for this, and especially for this movie in particular, it works because the situation's so ludicrous and so insane that he is just like, I'm over it. You know what I mean? Like, I just want to go to Atlantic City. Like, and it works when he gets to that breaking point where it's like, what the hell's happening here? I'm marrying your daughter? All I wanted to go to was Atlantic City. I don't even know Demi Moore.
Like, you know, it was just a very genuine kind of reaction to everything. Like the whole situation he's being placed in.
We haven't talked about the cousin, the female cop. I quite liked her. I felt like she was the real antagonist of the movie. You think the judge is, but she's really...
What's her name? Miss Purda or something?
Yeah. Oh, those nails are broken as fuck. But I just remember them going, cousin. It was like, so here's the question. Oh, God. Mowing down. And Demi Moore is like, I'm Bugs Bunny in this scene. Oh my God, it's all over him. And the sausage looks like his skin. Oh, here it is. And Chevy Chase is like, what the hell is that?
Right, an unpeeled, uncircumcised penis. I see it.
That's me clapping with joy.
Wait, sorry, no. Peeled.
No, unpeeled. That's the type of banana
No.
you peel.
No, peeled.
Wouldn't it be great if, like, they have these coal fires that, you know, you think they're not going to do anything. You think, oh, they're going to do something, and then they kind of do something, but, like, at the last minute. You think, oh, you might hear them again during the movie, but no.
Can I just say that John Candy as a woman
Is
like,
hot?
It's very convincing.
I think...
Like, if you were to see a woman like Eldona, you
I
wouldn't
think it's
question,
convincing because you don't hear him talk. I think that's the real... No. Like, I genuinely mean that, because the real fault with comedy men playing women is they'll have to default to that, I'm a woman, you know, like,
this
voice,
kind of voice.
you know, and John Candy would obviously do that because I've watched much of his stuff. He would do that. So him being completely mute in this movie, and with the makeup and the hairstyle and all that, it makes you believe he's a woman a lot more, because I think once you hear him talk, you won't buy it. Like, you're not buying it now, but there's an air to it. I love that these Brazilians are like, he flicked a pickle at me. I'm gonna risk being shot with a machine gun because he threw a pickle at me. Like, you know what this movie should be really called? This movie should just be called People Who Can't Wait. Because this movie is about people who just can't wait. Like, if it wasn't for Chevy Chase lighting up a cigar, they would have been out of this hellhole like 20 minutes ago.
There's a lot of things.
Yeah,
they could have.
That was on my mind too. They're like, "Oh, we'll do your trial tomorrow," and I was like, "Okay." Well, it seems like he wants to let him go.
No, he does. Like, the only reason he makes his trial tomorrow is because Chevy Chase like lights up a cigar, and that kind of like, how dare you? That's like really offensive in court. You can't do that. So I'll punish you in this regard. And he puts them in like a nice bedroom and stuff. Like, he doesn't give them like the toxics.
They have such ugly food.
Yeah.
So right here, the Brazilians get their own little scene.
Yeah, and I love it. What is this? Is it a swamp of toxic stuff, but they don't get affected by it?
I thought for
I
sure.
thought they were gonna like burn.
I thought they were going to burn too.
No.
Or
Earlier,
mutate, like in RoboCop.
when they were driving across the bridge, there was that like
Weird like
set
fish sculpture.
piece. Yeah, like that fish thing. I thought that would play into something.
Oh, you thought it would come alive and just
because-
like attack him because of all the gadgets?
Yeah, and even when we were talking over that scene, you were talking about the budget of this movie.
Yeah, 40
Yeah.
million. You could see where it went. Into the toxics.
Into the fish sculpture, the very artistic looking fish sculpture.
There's so much going on.
There's-
set-wise.
Oh, there are dogs.
They're dogs that we do see them again. But wouldn't it be great if these dogs had like... Here's something. This is one of those movies where the dogs, they really needed a dog with 3 legs. You know, you see certain movies where they have a dog with 3 legs, or like a dog with like only 2 legs and wheels and stuff, and you go, okay, that matches because like it's a circus or something. This is a movie where they need fucked up animals. Like, you know what I mean? Like a movie where they should have a dog with 5 legs. You know, something...
To match the decor of everything else.
We forgot, we don't only see John Candy in 1 female persona, but 2 as the portrait of Granny on this thing. So now they swam through the toxics with the metal shards sticking out. I don't know what...
Which...
Are they just sculptures, or are they supposed to stop people from jumping in? John Candy, I feel like this is, like, okay, for the earlier parts of the film, I felt like he was actually playing a character, but this, I feel like he's just John Candy. Like, he's just like, alright, I'm holding a cigarette in my mouth, I got a machine gun, what am I gonna do? I love, they beg him, and then he, like, oh, fish tacos. He takes them away, and we don't see the Brazilians till the end of the movie. We don't see them till the end of the movie, and we see John Candy packing. It's like, well, where are the Brazilians during this sequence of things? Is he hiding them?
Did he
Where?
go back to the house?
Like, like, well, John Candy went back to the house to pack, but it's like, well, where are the Brazilians
How
doing
did
this?
they get away?
Time off, you jump. Yeah, exactly. Like, or did he hide them somewhere secure? You peel the correct banana there, and then, like, leisure time, kick back, nice, you know, it's just like talking fish tacos, and then they're like, oh yeah.
Fish tacos.
Quick eye.
Yeah, see, I interpreted that as like because they were cutting. The camera was on them explaining all this stuff, and that was like his reaction to the whole thing. But I guess fish tacos being the most recent thing they said.
It was like the last thing, and he just goes, well, we better hide. Like, I love it. It's just like,
Well.
I see it as it's a silly little thing. So, Mischabella,
Yeah.
if I was Chevy Chase, if I was
Stay
Chevy,
back, stay back.
if I was Chevy Chase, keep your erections in order, ladies and gents. If I was Chevy Chase, and you were Demi Moore, and we had just met, and we got taken to a horror mansion, would you fall in love with me, even though I have no personality for you to fall in love with me? If I just walked over and you were like, I miss men, and I'm like, I'm a man, would you make out with me?
Probably.
Yeah, if
I
you're
would
wearing
think.
a play suit like that, you'll make out with anyone. I mean, come on.
And I'll be in the background being like, oh, I'm a man. I should have said
It
that.
will be a dark, dark day in hell, ladies and gentlemen, if I ever see Mischabella wear colour. She's always wearing black.
That's a good.
Mischabella
love
is
black.
always wearing black. If I saw Mischabella in white, I'll be like, where's Mischabella?
What happened? Are you feeling okay?
Where is she? And you will be like, she died. And now let's make out Chevy Chase.
And you're like, but I'm not Chevy Chase. Actually, yes, I
I'm
am.
Chevy Chase and you're not. So, I love this. She's like, I love just your pretty face. Does he have a pretty, like, who's the pretty face? Neither of them. I mean, Demi Moore's okay, but in this movie, she's like
She's
a
not
clown.
referring to herself.
She's a clown. So, I love this. She's like, oh no, I better lay down. And then she
just
jumps over to the bed,
leaps away.
leaps, says the title of the movie, Nothing But Trouble, then leaps away and automatically falls asleep. Okay,
Well,
so
it cuts away.
yeah, but she's automatically asleep by this point. Like, my favorite thing about this, too, is that scene is a foreshadowing to the end of the movie, in which I'm hearing you say, Ryan, this movie had 15 endings. Which ending are you talking about? I'm talking about 15, the last one.
The 15th ending.
The 15th ending, right?
The one in
Where,
Brazil?
no, that's not the ending.
Isn't that the last scene? we
No. Chevy Chase is sitting on his couch and Dan Aykroyd is like, I'm coming to visit. And Chevy Chase
that's right.
literally
Yeah.
goes, no, runs over his couch. You can hear the footsteps and him jump. And then it cuts to like a giant Chevy Chase hole in the wall.
saw? Yes,
No,
that's
I
right.
know you're saying, Ryan. This is an unappreciated masterpiece for sure, but that ending was a little bit wrong, wasn't it? It was just a cartoon that came out of nowhere. It completely threw off the magical tone that Dan Aykroyd had been setting. Well, that's where you're wrong. For you see, this movie is a horror comedy cartoon. Because you have sequences like this where they're doing this Scooby-Doo thing where they're like looking through the
Yeah.
door and there's a door with a monster behind each one, like the bat room. And the scene where she leaps onto the bed. This movie's been setting up from the very beginning that this is a cartoon movie, so when it reaches that final climactic joke, you may think it's jarring, but you're wrong. It's perfectly acceptable for the terms of the universe they have set.
Exactly.
Yeah, the rules of them. Yeah.
Yeah, rules and terms, yeah. I love the bat room. That's my favorite room. Like, what's happening in here? Like, I mean, look, this movie could have sufficed with more eating of poo, but we can't always
forgot
get
to
what we
duck.
want. Yeah, she forgot to duck.
Yeah, this is really the point in the movie where I'm like, oh, it's kind of like Painful Potter.
Yeah, where he's making quips. Yeah. Pale Face is the
Old
name of the
Pale
movie.
Face was-
No, just Pale Face.
Paleface.
Is a Bob Hope movie that we're referring to with Painless Pete Potter. Is
that one of your
check
favourites,
it out.
Ryan?
It's one of my faves. Check it out. That's a great movie. But I love this whole sequence, right, Mish? When you watched it, Abella,
Umbrella.
Abella, did you watch this thinking, yeah, they're going to be trapped up here because a vault falls on the door? No, you're American, so you obviously know all the references they make in every American movie.
Of course.
Jimmy Hoffa, they took him. How did you feel about that? About the revelation that these people killed Jimmy Hoffa? Because everyone knows Jimmy Hoffa, right?
Of course.
You know, Jimmy Hoffa, famous, went missing. People thought gangsters. Clearly, nobody thought to look in Vulcanvania, which is in America. Okay,
Where is?
it's in New Jersey, isn't it, or something? No, I can't remember.
Is that where they set it up?
They did say they went on the turnpike off of something or other. You know, they're going to Atlantic City from New York.
East Coast, I guess.
They're going to Atlantic City from New York, so I think it's in the New Jersey area. We will hear about it because they say it several times later where this is. But I wanted to ask you, in America, are there lots of towns called Vulcanvania?
No.
Are you sure? This could have been an Amish town.
7% sure.
7?
Yeah.
It's not a lot.
Sorry,
I like the odds.
77.
Oh, 77.
77% sure.
37%.
Jimmy Hoffa's still missing. He's like, oh, they got him. Here's his ID. Nazi scientists. I would watch a movie where Jimmy Hoffa was the main character and he got taken by these people. So, how old do you think Dan Aykroyd is supposed to be in this movie? This movie's set in 1991 and he fought in World War One.
Yep, so he's...
Who, JP?
JP, he fought in World War One.
He's got to be at least over 70 and 80, at the very least.
Well, he's got to be like 100 something.
Yeah.
Because he would have had to be what? Like, you know, they lied about their ages during the war to get in World War One especially. So let's say he was 15 when he joined the war, when America joined in World War One.
Which was 1917, 16?
Yeah. So he would have been, like, born... So in this movie, he is probably, like, verging 100, if not a bit over.
Yeah.
So in this movie, he's 100 years old.
What's the deal
It's
with
70
his nose, though?
It's 71 years after World War
Don't you
One.
remember what happened with his nose?
No.
Chevy Chase goes into his bedroom. Oh, he goes somewhere. Yeah, they're about to have a sword fight.
Yeah, they
You remember sword fight? They have a
Yeah.
sword fight. Because Chevy Chase goes in his room and reads, like, oh, one man, J.P. Volkenheiser, injured in mining explosion. He goes, oh, so that's what happened to that old pig.
Yeah, it's...
But
Oh,
he
is that
lost-
right before he sees him in the mirror?
Yeah, and they...
Right.
No, it was, like, after that, because... Chevy Chase is watching him peel his nose.
Yeah.
And then he goes to sleep, like, JP goes to sleep, and then the Digital Underground get taken in the middle of the night, so JP gets up, gets in his chair, lowers down, then Chevy Chase crawls into his room and starts, like, inspecting stuff, and he sees a paper thing saying, like, mining explosion, then JP comes back up, and he's like, what you doing here? I'm gonna kill you! And just, like, sword fights him and then goes, marry my daughter. Respect. And so he lost his leg in World War One because he said, I left that leg back in France. And I love the way he says it. He's like, I left that leg back in France. And he says it with such, like, hate. Like, he hates France, obviously. But then later on, when he's with the Digital Underground, he says something about, like, oh, this reminds me of my beautiful time in France. It's like, where you lost your leg? Okay, I'm not a Digital Underground fan. I'm not into the hippity hop. Like, yeah, pull that dress up. Thank you. I was really worried about that.
It's a halter, so it should be keeping itself up.
Yeah, but, you know, she just went down a slide.
Wait, what?
She went...
I'm confused. Is that bow for... Yeah, it's a halter. She should...
Yeah, but her boobs
Sorry, I'm
are
talking about the technicalities of that.
Her
really
boobs
So,
are quite large.
I thought you were confused by the slide.
slide.
No, her boobs are quite large with no bra, obviously. So I imagine she's just worried that it may just slip.
She went down...
If she was worried, she probably shouldn't wear the plate.
Well, she didn't know that she was going to go on a happy-go-lucky fun slide.
But yeah, Demi...
A woman should always be prepared.
Can we just talk about the fact that he's now removing the bits of himself?
Yeah.
So, the hair comes off first, obviously, and he looks like a human potato. I mean...
Tater tot.
Oh, yes, tater tots. I do believe that this is a family who would live on tater tots. And then the nose comes off, which came off in the explosion, I imagine, and he has like a pig nose. And Chevy Chase's reaction is everyone's reaction. When you guys saw that, what was your reaction? Because I imagine you didn't expect the nose to come off.
I wasn't expecting him to take the nose off.
Bartek's like, well, I did.
Because
I
then
wasn't
if you were to get a prosthetic nose, why would we go for something so phallic?
Because he wants it to look like his real nose.
No, my reaction was just like, ooh. Like, it wasn't like, oh my god, no. It was just...
I know Bartek, he was rubbing one out going, ooh. Just like Bartek.
Ooh.
Yes, I had paper in front of me, I drew a picture and I was rubbing it out. There, I admit it. I wasn't happy with my drawing.
I like the fact that this hole in the wall is so big that if you were across the room, you could see Chevy Chase.
Yeah.
And then there's a hole lower down in the wall that he crawls through.
Which isn't. Where is it at this point?
Well,
Did
it's
we move
covered
it
up with
further?
bones.
It looked like a fireplace.
So finally she got this dress dirty, which I'm happy about. So, because she was so clean in this movie. I'm like,
white,
what?
yeah, it's white.
It's like, how are you not dirtying this up?
She does look a bit clownish.
She looks like a French clown. If you said Demi Moore is playing a French clown in this movie and you showed me a picture, I'd be like, oh yeah, you know.
Of course.
Look,
Yeah.
okay, so she's trying to start the car. The lights turn on, which means there's electricity, battery power. The phone still works, but it doesn't work, like, what is it? Like, it's not programmed into his phone or something? Like, it's like the system to which you subscribe has no agreement with our service. So it's like, let's say he's with, like, Optus. Optus doesn't allow emergency phone calls. Brilliant. And then, like, later on, he just, like, goes, no, you gotta push this. Like, what the fuck? I don't understand. So, we see a brief glimpse of these guys.
Yeah.
Did you expect the pure majesty of what they were?
No.
No, I did not.
And were you happy?
Again, it
I
was,
was
just
very
I went in
happy.
blind.
And you guys, as blind viewers,
Yeah.
tell me your feelings and your experience when you saw these guys. And what was your understanding of these guys? Because are they human? That's a question I also asked.
That was I think the first. Like, what are they? What are those?
So Bartek, what about you? What were your feelings and your understanding of these guys when you first saw them?
I was just in awe.
Did you know one of them was Dan Aykroyd?
No, I didn't. I just looked at them and I thought, wow, this movie just really went that extra mile to be the bizarre movie. Like, look at the way their bellies jiggle.
Yeah.
And if they're just like they look like they've just been born.
Well, they're meant to look like
poor
babies.
They're wearing diapers.
I
But
think
nappies, sorry, we're Australian.
nappies. So they're your favourites, Bartek. Why?
Because look, Ryan, right now we're in 2016.
Yeah.
And you know, we've got a lot of... It's true, Mischabella. It's true.
2016. These babies have
joke.
tattoos. Go on.
Yep. We live in 2016 and we have very great special effects these days, like in terms of the technology to make them. And you know, you've got some iconic characters, or you know, not necessarily special effects, but makeup. You got Voldemort. You've got that guy who we saw briefly in the Star Wars movie, Snoke.
Yeah.
We've got what's another
Smeagol.
Smeagol and all that kind
Planet
of
of
stuff.
the Apes, all that.
We
Motion
look at them
capture.
and it's like, oh, yeah, these are characters made by, you know, special effects. But these guys here, Bobo and Little Devil, they look so lifelike.
You know they're not wearing makeup.
That's what I mean.
That's them, Mischabella.
Natural.
When you take Dan Aykroyd's clothes off, that's what you get, a giant baby.
Look, they've got this like kind of cheeky grins, their mouths open, they're happy.
Yeah. So, Mischabella, what about you?
I like
When
the
you saw
glisten.
this and you're like, okay, so this is where the movie's going now? Were you like, okay, did you have an understanding of what was going to happen when these guys
Like
entered?
I said, it was like my parting kind of feeling was confusion.
Yeah. When I watched this, when I saw these guys, I just waved goodbye to reality. Because at that point, it was no
and
longer
logic. Just
bye bye.
But see, they're established characters and they do things in this movie that don't really matter. So I thought like this could be the setup to a franchise. This family of you know, the judge, Miss Purda or whatever his name
The
is.
cousin, yeah.
The cousin, and those two, you know, they could be like the recurring characters of the franchise.
That's true,
to
yeah.
torment a different individual or group.
now,
in
I'm
each-
like slightly mad that there wasn't a sequel.
Yeah, because they're established.
Yeah, I've got a lot of feelings about
like,
there
even
being
when
no
I-
sequel as well. Some might say, okay, Joy,
And Endora, I forgot her.
and Eldona.
Eldona, I'm sorry.
Or whatever. Okay, I don't know Digital Underground. I'm not a fan of the hip hop as I mentioned, but why does this guy have...
Like one of those like silly noses, like with the glasses.
Yeah, okay, I'll be honest with you. Watching it didn't take me until they started singing and dancing to know that it was a fake nose. I thought, oh, is he just wearing like he's just applied like really dark skin makeup on the nose to give a stupid effect? Because it's like they never focused on him enough. Like they just kept cutting back and forth. So it's kind of like I didn't have enough time to actually kind of gauge what's happening. Is that like the musician's trademark, or is this just in the film?
It's just why.
This might be my racist comment of the episode.
Go on.
But
Prepare yourself, Mischabella.
All right.
They should be slaves. What the hell are they doing driving? No, I didn't.
Cotton.
Actually, I don't even know if it's racist or just whatever.
Go on.
Look, I didn't know that they were musicians until they said it. I thought, like, because they were dressed.
You thought they were pimps.
Yeah, pimps. I thought they were pimps.
It's okay. But then you saw Tupac in there, and you're like, oh, obviously,
Well, no,
they're
It
gangsters.
took a while before you saw. Like,
No, I didn't even realize it was a band that Tupac was in.
Yeah, you're right. In the mirror, it's like, oh no.
Because they all look the same.
I thought,
Just kidding.
so, Tupac's in this movie. So
Debut movie, yeah.
his debut performance, best work he ever did. If you said to me, the other thing I know about Tupac is that he died, and people are really upset about that, and people still still think he's alive or around, or he was into a hologram.
He's hanging out with Elvis Presley.
He's hanging out with Elvis, all that kind of stuff. If you said to me, Dan Aykroyd died on the making of Nothing But Trouble, and Tupac found his early prosthetic makeups, and he's just pretending to be Dan Aykroyd to get away from the West Coast side or whatever, I would believe you.
Well, he did get away from.
There's plenty.
He did get away from the West Coast side because he's over in this part of America, which is in the East, I believe.
So, interesting thing.
John
John Candy's dead.
Yeah.
In real life, and Tupac is dead. Does that mean John Candy and Tupac might have been the same person? I never saw them in the same shot.
I don't know.
That's true.
I don't know when Candy died.
In the 90s.
Yeah.
Shortly after this, actually.
I think Tupac was 96.
Oh, yeah. It would have been around the same time, actually. Because it's 1991. He had a few movies left in him. John Candy died of heart attack.
That means that we can look back on the great Tupac movie, Planes, Trains, and Automobiles.
My favourite Tupac movie. So, I really like a lot of things in this, but the practicality... That chick's boobs are pretty good, but the practicality of
I like
this...
her outfit.
Yeah, but it's pink.
Again, very practical.
Yeah.
I just really...
It's like, okay, is that the guy's trademark? Or like, I would understand if it was one of the family members because they're all kooky, but it's like, oh, other people are kooky too.
Yeah. I just really like how much the judge likes them.
If it was an ambulance, you got a chance. If it's a hearse, gotta be worse. He's a rapper, and that's when they realize, shit, dog, he's a rapper. No, I really like the intricacies of the set. Like, the money, $40 million, it's quite absurd. $40 million. But when you look at the set, you get a real history of these characters, such as they're fanatical Christians, but weirdly enough, that never actually plays into their characters too much. You know what I mean? True. Like, you don't have the judge spouting off Bible quotes. And
I think the only time I heard a mention of God was when
Chevy Chase
was like on the way to the bone
stripper,
and then he's like, please God, please. Oh, thank you God.
Yeah.
What's the
Chase is
then?
the one that brings religion into it.
Yeah, he's the only
Excuse me,
one.
big girls don't cry. Now, Bartek, as a big girl,
Yes, Ryan, what is it?
Excuse me, you're mute. Come on. Do you cry? Now, Mischabella, which of the outfits do you think John Candy as a woman would look sexier in? The first one or this one?
The sexiest would probably be the latter. The
Yeah.
second one.
I agree, and
Absolutely.
even John Candy's like, Chevy, I know that you know that I'm a dude, but you are such a ladies' man. Naughty. I like how at no point has anyone told him that he's going to get married to her. I like this, right this way, Mr. Snappy Comeback. It's
Very,
like, finally someone calls Chevy Chase out.
And takes him out of the room.
Gun.
Bye. Okay, so
Off screen, yeah.
Little
they got
Devil, and what was Bobo?
Yeah.
Have tattoos. They're giant babies. They have
Oh, they do have tattoos.
They're constantly sweating, covered sometimes in blood, sweat, and oil. They've got weird heads, to say the least. And they say, Demi Moore, we play, what are we going to do with her? What did you think they were going to do with Demi Moore? When they said, oh, we just want to play with her, what did you think was going to happen? Because I didn't think a game of cards was going to be the thing. If anything, if this movie said, oh, they tried to have sex with her, I'd be like, yeah, that seemed like a logical approach.
I thought they were just going to, like, rip her apart or something.
Eat her?
No, I bought into the fact that they were, like, children.
So they might have, like, made her play kids games. Not, like, if it was Uno. Then
Uno.
I
literally said the word Uno in this episode.
People pronounce it
Wrong.
both ways. I like this chick. These chicks eventually get up onto the... There he is. Oh, there he is. They eventually get up onto the stand with the judge and start grinding on the judge.
How did they
Would
get
you
there?
grind on him? No, clearly they just climbed up.
Was that during when he was playing
Yes.
the piano? Well, then,
Because that's when they knew he was funky.
Yeah.
He was with it. I do like the dramatic kick to the head again. And you think, oh, he's going to kill these guys because not only is it hippity hop, because you got to think hip hop music had old
Guy
people
not look
hated.
like Chris Rock?
He does look like Chris Rock. Old people hate hip hop in most ways,
And
right?
I think
that's the
religious
general
people
consensus.
too.
Religious people, and not only that, but these are backwater hillbilly people who grew up, who live in pretty much the 19th century. And grew up then and whatever. You think that when black hip-hop artists start playing hip-hop, you think he's going to kill them, right? No, the dramatic twist is he joins in.
And it sounds really good.
The sunglasses. But what I love about this is they join in, they start grinding, and this guy's like, oh, he's good. What I like about it is, it's not out of character that he lets them go. Like, although I said this stuff, like, you expect this. With what we're given with the character, yes, he's a monster and a killer, but his sense of justice would allow them to live because he's got this twisted look of good and evil, right? And they're serving
Like something must appeal to him.
Yeah, and they're serving the greater good with entertainment. Like, oddly enough, back in the 90s with censorship and you know, the religious fanatics going on about hip-hop and rock and roll and all this being morally deplorable and all that, you'd think this guy would have this take, but no, he's actually like, you guys are performers. It doesn't matter if you're racy or if I'm not into your music or whatever. People like you. You're serving the greater community for good. I'll let you go. I like that. I think, like, it's one of those moments where this guy is a human. Like, you know, he seems like this horrible monster dude, but this humanizes a character that at this point has not been human at all.
Yeah, and he's not, and like, he believes, he likes them so much that he's not even doing some weird shit or anything.
And he likes them so much that he's like, one more favor. Could you be the musicians for my daughter's wedding?
Yeah.
I like, do you remember what the daughter's career is?
She's an
Mechanic.
mechanic. That's
She's the best mechanic in the East. That's what he says. It's
Apparently, she's left home far enough to be, you know.
like, or people come to Vulcanvania just for her. Like, they're like, I'm in New York, my car's broken, I gotta go to Vulcanvania, get it fixed.
No cussing, remember?
No cussing, though.
Cussing.
You know, and they got this junkyard. So this is out of nowhere. He's being really nice to him. He's like, yeah, we just had that sword fight.
Yeah.
But would you marry my daughter? You seem like a good guy because we had that sword fight. That's like the most interactions they've had together was a sword fight. And weirdly enough, I will let you, not my grandson, who's been an honorable servant of the peace, be the heir to all of this. That's what he says. He says like, you have all of this. But earlier in the film, he's like, John Candy can have all of this. And at this point, he doesn't know that John Candy's left or John Candy's done anything. In fact, John Candy's been on point. He brought those gangsters in. So, why is he saying, fuck you,
No,
John Candy?
Oh yeah, gangsters, yeah.
That's what I'm saying, gangsters.
I got racist and mixed up the gangsters of the musicians.
So why is he going, you can have it, Chevy, who smoked in my courtroom, is a felon, and tried to kill me with a knife.
I think it's because his granddaughter is his favorite.
Yeah.
But then again, I think he knows he doesn't want to. He's gonna want to escape. So
Here's a big question.
So he's messing with
Yeah,
it.
he's got to entice him to stay, right? Other than chains. Here's a question. What is with this family, right? Where are the mother and father of John Candy? No, I'm sorry, John Candy's. And Little Devil and Bobo, because he's the grandfather.
Right.
So where's the next generation? Where are the parents?
So hold on, the two John Candy characters and Miss Purda, they're all and
And
Bobo,
Debo,
they're all brother and sister, right?
No, the
cousin.
woman's a cousin.
Yeah.
But they're all his grandchildren.
Right.
Doesn't matter. They're all his grandchildren.
Yeah.
Where are the parents in all of this? Like, it doesn't say. Like, where's John Candy's mum? Where's John Candy's dad?
Maybe they became bankers.
Fuck, damn.
Oh.
The ultimate twist.
Maybe they were the first victims.
Would you wear that to your wedding? John Candy? Would you wear
I
John
love
Candy?
that. Would I wear John Candy to my wedding? The answer is yes.
That chick in the pink tank top's breasts are on point in this movie. Like, it's like, you know how in films they've got to have people that like adjust your hair and whatever. I wonder if there was someone's like, okay, lower the tank top
boob
just a
adjuster.
bit.
Yeah.
Boop. Perfect. And she's like the sassiest one. See her there? Like, not the one in the pink dress, the one in the pink tank top. She had just shot of her boobs behind John Candy right there. It's just like, well, she had one asset that we had to exploit.
Well, yeah.
Look at that.
In this
Look
shot,
at
it's like
that.
you're
Look
looking
at
at
that.
John Candy as a woman and breasts, and it just merges
It's
the
just
two, and
it's
you're
just
happy.
A shot of happiness.
Yeah.
Oh, now
That's
the
what it
breasts
is.
are replaced by Vigilante Grand Guy.
Eldona. So I feel like, what happened to these parents? Maybe they died. Maybe they
I like
moved
Bartek's
away.
Maybe they're on vacation.
Maybe they're in Brazil. That's the sequel. It's like they're in Brazil and they're like, and they're like, son, what are you doing here? And they're played by Chevy Chase, his parents.
I want to know.
How would that be? His parents.
I wish they'd do that just to fuck people.
His parents, Chevy Chase, in a dress with like a penis nose. Like they get it from the
God.
woman, like the penis nose on him, and like the dad would be kind of like, you know, he has a beard, and he would be kind of like, you know, Scruffy the janitor, you know, like Scruffy the janitor, like that kind of thing, where he's just like really solemn and spoken, and he's just like, son,
So another
man.
with like two fingers joined together. Because this is the kind of movie that does that.
So when I was reading the trivia or the goofs or whatever on IMDb of this movie, they were talking about how the the characters who have made the biggest impact on this movie so far, the Brazilianaires.
We haven't seen them since the
Yeah.
lied fish tacos.
Yeah, they have
Did
the
they
whole.
come in like soon?
No, we don't see them till the end of the film.
Damn it!
Same with male John Candy. How they spoke Spanish when in Brazil they speak Portuguese.
Yeah.
I think you're wrong about John Candy. We see him again because he packs up his stuff.
Didn't we already see that?
Oh, did we miss that? Ah, shit.
Oh.
Because I have a whole thing about that.
Because when Digital Underground were being brought in, he was like walking out. But he didn't have a suitcase, so I don't know.
Oh, okay. There's a bit where he's packing his suitcase. Maybe we missed it because we were talking too much about boobs. But
Isn't
there's
that
a
always the
sequence
case?
in this movie. Okay, Mr. Bone Stripper has his own theme song. We didn't even mention that.
Bell stripper.
Mr. Bone Stripper! Stripping your bones! I like that he pops out of the thing still. Like, what's pushing him out? Like, all of it fell
Like an
apart.
ejector
So,
seat.
what's pushing
Maybe-
Chevy Chase out of the tube at the back? Because it all falls apart. Everything stops.
The power of comedy? I don't know.
The power of Chase. Like, look,
He's
it all stops. Like, those are stop, and then just pathetically.
Maybe the parents' jobs are to push things, and they just
Could you
you
imagine?
can't turn off parents.
Could you imagine being on the set for this and going, okay, I get to push Chevy Chase out of a tube today. See you later, honey.
Into bones.
Sorry, son, I couldn't make it to your baseball game. I had to push Chevy Chase out of a tube. And the kids
Priorities.
like got that kind of mentality of a 50-year-old man where he's like, you gotta do what you gotta do.
It's justified. It's okay. Go do that.
So I have a whole point about John Candy, right? John Candy, the sheriff constable. Here it is.
Oh,
Here it is.
good.
Look at this picture.
Yeah.
That's not a picture of him as a sheriff. That's a picture of him as his Navy. Is that Navy?
It looks.
He looks like he was in the military of some sort. So that means John Candy. I think that alone gives so much to his character. Because here's the thing. Why is John Candy the good one? Like, what about him makes him different to the rest? Because ideally, until that scene, you think that he has lived in this town all of his life. He's the sheriff. Why isn't he as bad and as rotten as them? Like, there's no reason why he wouldn't be.
Yeah.
But I think that shows that he has spent time in the real world. He has traveled the world, probably. So he has an understanding that this situation is not normal. Hence, he is so, like, trying to abide by the actual law. I think that's really, really smart filmmaking. Yeah, because they could have just not had that scene. Yeah. And you could just be like, oh, it's just, I guess just John Candy got tired of being evil. But, like, that's not how it works, because they don't know they're evil.
Yeah, and again, if this had become a franchise, he could have been explored more, because, you know, he's not with the family anymore.
And if he ever still alive, yeah. No, they just get corpse of John Candy and just put peanut butter on his lips. Make him move. And they're just like, why does he have peanut butter on his lips? Didn't you see the first one? He had ants on a lock.
It's a reference.
And he was happy.
Continuity.
Here it is. Hell on earth. So if the land is that fragile that he pokes his cane through it, why are their feet not falling through it? Yeah, like it's that.
Because they're light as a feather.
Dan Aykroyd's light as a feather.
The makeup is very, like, anti-weight.
So, do you know the film critic Roger Ebert?
No.
Roger Ebert and Gene Siskel are like the film critics from America, and Roger Ebert's the antagonist of our show because he has rated movies that are unappreciated masterpieces on his worst of lists. And this movie is on that list where famously he saw the movie in an abandoned, semi-abandoned movie theater with only a few adults and several teenagers who were all making loud noises and talking, and he famously got up and encouraged them to make more noise so he didn't have to hear any more of this horrible movie. This is where I draw the line, Roger. You're dead, I know that. But if I could speak to Roger Ebert today, I have to say this. We are, on a level, film critics. We're analysing films, right? And we don't have our own TV show, and we're not considered to be the number one source of film critique in the world, like Roger Ebert. But you know what we don't do? We don't encourage teenagers to talk over a film, even if it's not one we like. This is where I draw the line, dead Roger Ebert. Stay dead, because you know what you're doing? You're being quiet. No one's getting hear none of that shit out of your mouth. Bastard. I'm very upset with Roger Ebert about this. I'm like, this movie doesn't deserve that kind of treatment. I mean, look, you got Demi Moore tied up. I mean, come on, by giant babies. This movie actually dared to answer the question, should we tie Demi Moore up with giant babies tying her up? Yes, is the answer.
Even Siskel didn't like it, but at least he was probably quiet about it.
Yeah. I liked it, so I guess I'm better than both of them combined. Well, I'm Roger Ebert. I don't like anything. You know, jeez. So...
I don't like this movie. Speak up, teenagers.
And then they were just like, who's this cool cat? and they put their hats on the side and they kick up a skateboard.
Well,
and Roger Ebert catches the skateboard and he goes, now kids, let me teach you how to do a flip.
Yo kids, let me tell you a tale. I'm Roger Ebert and I like to bail on my career.
Hi there kids, I'm Roger Ebert. And just like, can you imagine you sitting there and you're just watching Nothing But Trouble and Roger Ebert's just like doing wheelies and like helixes
trying to entice the youth
and flips in front of the screen. And they're like, isn't that Roger Ebert? And he's like, up yours, kids, up yours.
No, like Seymour Skinner, up yours, children.
And instead of giving them the finger, he gives them a thumbs up.
No, thumbs down.
Up, but then he's saying up yours. So it's like, up yours, children. I love it. It's just, you know, at this point in the movie, they're now just on the run. Now, you guys having been first-time viewers, did you think it was going to end? What did you think the ending was going to be? Did you have a prediction? Or when they went to the cops, you're like, oh no, this is going to be the ending, right? What was your feelings, Mischabella?
I didn't know that there was an ending. Even when it ended, I was like, this can't be it. This isn't finished.
You waited till the end credits. It was
Yeah,
like another
that's
20
what
minutes.
No, I was kind of like, no, this can't be it. There's more to it. Because even when the cousins like
yeah, they got away.
They got away. I knew it wasn't the end. But even then, when it did end, I was like, this
Wait, what?
isn't the what? This is not the end.
Did you know it was a good movie when Bill Murray's brother plays the head of the FBI?
Is that his brother?
Bill Murray's brother is one of the heads of the FBI or SWAT team or whatever. I'll point him out. He's been in lots of stuff. Like, have you watched Wayne's World?
Yes.
In Wayne's World, Bill Murray's older brother who's in this, he's like the head of the TV studio that they want to be on. Like, they get on and they mock him.
Oh, the Sphincter Says What guy? The guy, who says what?
Yeah, and he's the arcade guy. That's Bill Murray's older brother.
Oh, him!
Wow.
And you can really tell by looking at him that he is Bill Murray's brother, but older. Like I think he's
Noah.
Like,
his name was Noah, right?
yeah, I think so. I can't
Noah's
remember.
Arcade.
Yeah, that guy from Wayne's World, and he's also in Christmas Vacation as Clark Griswold's boss, who he gets hog-tied up. So he's a part of the Second City gang. So he's been Bill Murray obviously, and Chevy Chase and Dan Aykroyd. So him appearing in this movie is completely not out of the ordinary. And there's lots of interesting people whose careers have really blossomed from this movie. Like, oddly enough, if you look up anything about this movie, you never hear any of the actors mention it. And I think it's because they're thrilled about it to the point where they're all silent.
Yeah.
John Candy, deathly silent.
Or maybe-
Tupac, even more.
Or maybe they were just worried that, Roger Ebert would get onto them. If they
He would
mentioned
get
it.
out of his grave and go, what did I say to those kids?
He's only been dead for like 2-3 years.
3-4 years. So he can you imagine his grave? Could you imagine it? Instead of a tombstone, it's a skateboard.
Spray painted on.
With hashtag, with at Roger Ebert.
Oh my god. Are people going to put Twitter handles on their graves?
Oh my god. At Mischabella. It's like,
The one Mischabella.
hashtag the Ridge. So
the OG.
I'm surprised that the FBI or SWAT team even listened to them. Like everything, what's weird? When you think about it, you're like, oh yeah, they get the police in and the police arrest these guys, it'll be a cool ending. But when they actually reveal this scene, it makes you realize, shit, yeah, like this movie was so absurd that, in fact, if you told it to a real person, yeah,
It's like nonsensical babblings going on right here.
and she looks like a clown, so and Chevy Chase looks like he just came from the gym. Like,
Yeah, they were looking.
Why does he have a towel?
because he obviously he's nervous. He's in
Taps
shock.
his forehead, nervous.
Have you ever watched Sherlock, the TV show?
Yeah.
In the first episode, they give him like a blanket for shock. He's like, this is my shock blanket. Like, this is his shock towel. It's America. They don't have blankets.
Yeah. So when they believed them and said we'll have to go with you, that surprised me. But then what happened here was I thought that like all the suspicious stuff would be gone away, and they'd be like,
You thought it would be different?
yeah, it was like you guys were just messing around. This is clearly a nice old man. And
Yeah, you thought he was
the
gonna
lady-
actually be
We're out of
I
here.
never predicted what happens after.
My favorite part is,
At all.
let's count. There's probably over 200 people, right?
Maybe.
No, like, if you see the outside shot, there's probably just verging on 200 people, maybe just a bit over, and they all say, in unison, hey, Judge Vulcanizer, or whatever. Like, they're like, we know this guy. Like, and here's the greatest thing. Was this on purpose, or did they not know that it was the judge's house until they saw the judge? Like, because they're aware, but they seem completely oblivious. I'm like, are they acting to this point, or they've been on it the whole time?
I think they've been on it, and it's just another thing to mess with Chevy.
But why would they
Chevy.
use all this manpower?
To mess with him, to make false sense of security.
I love this.
Look at that confidence.
And look, there's so many
got him.
people. That was just like 10 people in that one pan. Like, look at it. It's like It goes all the way back towards like near that statue. So there's so many people. It feels like there's 200 people maybe, but that's film magic. And then this old man comes out, and they're like, "We got him. We got him finally. We're wearing our little police jacket."
I think John Candy looks amazing in this shot.
John Candy with a roller makes me moist. Like a cake he's probably baking. Hi, Judge. Look how many people there are.
Judge Alvin. Okay.
Judge Alvin. "Oh, hey there, boys. You can't go run across my friends." And they're like, "Oh." This guy, this head cop there, he always plays cops. Like, he's in the movie Falling Down with Michael Douglas, and he plays a cop. I just swear he's a cop and everything. Some people just like doing that.
Some people
And I
just
think,
look like
and I think Dan Aykroyd likes
Baldwin.
playing shriveled prunes. Oh my god, he looks like Bill Murray. It's so obvious, but people forget Bill Murray is not the only Murray with talent.
I like how they make a big deal of now. It's suddenly the tables are turned. There are 202 people against you, and then all of a sudden, oh wait, earthquake thing, whatever.
Yeah, well, coal fire. They set it up.
Coal fire, yeah.
Coal fire.
It was set up, but then this, plot like twist suddenly becomes kind of null and void.
Well, it wasn't so. Yeah, it comes on void, but it's like at least when he stabbed his cane through the ground, it reminded you like, oh, it is pretty bad.
Oh no, I'm not saying it came out of nowhere. It's just that the plot twist is now kind of just like no point.
Do you like the fact that it turns the topsoil into crude oil, thus making them the Beverly Hillbillies? Did you think about that?
No, I didn't.
It's just
I'm just realizing it now.
Like, could you imagine the Beverly Hillbillies theme song? What about these? Oh yeah, so it's like, it's an alarm system. It's like
Cut off switch or something.
What does it mean? He just says jargon. He's just like, well, it's just a cut-off switch. It's just the alarm clock radio. You just got to switch it to the left. And
How did you not know?
Did you know that you have to roast an egg before you can start this car? The wind has to be blowing.
Blink at it twice and then say something.
You have to lean to the left. The car likes to drive to the right, so you have to lean to the left.
You put your left foot in, you take your left foot out.
And shake it all about.
The sun rises from the east, so you better drive towards the west.
One hop this time.
Yeah, Roger Ebert rides a skateboard, you better have an alarm clock radio.
It's Jesus.
Fausto, like, out of nowhere, she's now in love with John Candy, who, might I add, I love John Candy too, and he looks like a sexy James Bond in this scene.
He does.
Could you imagine him in a James Bond movie where he's playing like 009 or something or other, and he's like, "It's me, 009," and he's doing like a Sean Connery, but he's still like got that John Candy face where he's just like, "Hey there."
Man, how are you gonna mix that? Because you're like, "Hey James," the kind of guys. I'm like,
Is that what I said?
What?
Wait, I love those. I was like, what are you doing?
I was trying to do a John Candy impression, and I was trying to do a Sean Connery, and then I tried mixing them.
He's like, "Hey there, guys. It's me, John Candy."
Hey there, guys.
Hey there, guys. It's me, John Candy.
It's me, John Candy.
He's having night terrors about this incident, but here's the thing: everything that he's saying didn't happen.
I know.
Like, he's like, no, not the water. What water?
Yeah, he didn't drink anything.
He didn't even swim through the toxic. And then his dog barking like, oh. He didn't get chased by dogs. She did.
And
the Brazilians. There's no point. It's like in the movie The Room, where it's like, what are you doing? Candles, the music, the sexy dress, and there's only one of them. It's like this. It's like
and
there's
it was
only
like
one.
Debatably sexy dress.
Yeah, it's like, well, yeah, for her it was attractive enough. But this movie, really, Dan Aykroyd wrote it himself, directed it, produced it, starred in it. He basically is Tommy Wiseau of 1991.
Yep.
And if Tommy Wiseau could have made this movie, I think it would be the exact same movie.
If not for the fact that this is, the Warner Brothers logo, and if it was an independent movie, yeah.
I mean, I'm sure Tommy Wiseau had $40 million to piss into the wind.
I'm sure he had and still has way more.
So, this is a scene in which you see his penis nose again. It's in a very quick shot. Like, they don't make a big deal out of it, but they, like, give the tip and, like, the ridge, and it's beautiful. So, did you think that they were going to all be alive again? And did you think it was going to end with him being like, "I'm going to come visit my son-in-law"?
That definitely
Grandson-in-law.
not.
Grandson-in-law.
And then this scene...
Wait, look, penis nose. It's like, yep, zoom in. And then this happens, where it's like, oh, okay. And then oh, all around the world, same song. Okay, the movie's ended. And like, then it's just like showing them. It's like, oh yeah, Chevy Chase.
Yeah, and the actual shots from the movie.
JP. Well, yeah, why wouldn't they be?
Oh, the JP, Justice of Peace. Right.
Justice of Peace, that's it. Dan Aykroyd is Bobo. It's like, oh yeah, of course he is. Think Ghostbusters to this. And they wonder why Ghostbusters 3 never got made. Eldona should have been in it. Did you know John Candy was originally going to be in Ghostbusters as Rick Moranis' character? You know, the nerdy guy with glasses. He was going to be that character, but it was a completely different character. So instead, it was going to be a German man who had 2 giant German shepherds, and he was more obsessed about his dogs. While Rick Moranis was playing it like he was more obsessed about like numbers and stuff and whatever and like awkward. But John Candy's portrayal of this character was too weird. So they just went with Rick Moranis instead. I want to see that movie with John Candy's German dog fetish guy.
I like how they're calling it Digital Underground, but then like rap group because they didn't say
their name. And I like Tupac is spelled with a 2.
Is it P-U-C or P-A-C?
P-U-C.
They spelled it P-A-C.
Oh no,
Tupac.
maybe I'm wrong.
No, it's
I thought it was Tupac.
T-U-P-A-C.
Oh,
okay.
no. I will find out because someone's called Princess McLean.
Is it McLean or McLean?
I'm going to call him McLean.
Mr. McLean.
So, that was Nothing But Trouble. 1991. That seems like a long time ago, but this movie seems timeless. This movie really is a gem. We're going to get into our reviews now. I think I'll go first with this because this movie, for me, has a lot of history. I've watched this movie many times. I didn't mention it too much, but I mentioned before I didn't like it. But it's one of those movies I'll keep visiting again and again and again and again, going, what about this doesn't work? What about this isn't working for me? And through that process, I began to like it. Maybe this is a type of movie that you need to subject yourself to 15 times to get it. Because not every comedy movie, and yes, although we have made fun of the fact that this isn't really a comedy, but it is, not every comedy movie has to be laugh out loud, riot, funny, that just appeals to the dumb masses. Some of them can be intelligent, and some of them can be weird. And this is both. I appreciate the imagination of this movie above all else. Yes, it is baggy in places, and yes, things don't make a whole ton of sense, but it's made with love, and it's not every day that you see a blockbuster $40 million comedy movie that is a surrealist's nightmare/dream. I am so happy that this got made. You know, this I personally feel has opened up a gateway for lots of other kind of dark comedy movies. For some reason,
special thanks to John Hughes?
Yes, for some reason there's a special thanks to John Hughes, probably because John Hughes was inspired to do Baby's Day Out after seeing this, because there was babies in this movie. But as I was saying, I feel like this movie's opened a gateway for lots of comedians. So, there's one show in particular, it's a smaller British TV show called The League of Gentlemen, which has 2 characters that are basically the same as these characters, and the horror comedy usually is something like Scary Movie or something with ghosts or something. You never get a horror comedy that's kind of like this, where it's like kind of more on the horror side, on the grotesque, and I appreciate that. If I had to give this a rating out of something, it's so hard because I could rate this, a dead Chevy Chase or something, but I feel like the only proper thing to rate this movie is genius. The rating is genius. It is a genius that we may never see again because Dan Aykroyd has never directed again. And maybe we have lost the Picasso of film.
Possibly.
Bartek.
I think he's doing a tour at the moment.
Dan Aykroyd, I hope he talks about Nothing But Trouble or Picasso. Because he's dead. Bartek, let's hear from you.
Okay. So look.
Go on.
That pause won't make any sense because it was a physical thing that happened. Now the audience is going to be like, what the hell? This movie, it has qualities that I appreciate and that Ryan appreciates. Qualities that we can both mutually appreciate.
Yeah.
I want to tie this movie back to a movie that we did in a recent episode, Thunderpants, where, Ryan, you would say that Thunderpants was a crazy movie, right?
That movie took place in 1 week, and the boy killed someone and got tried for murder, and then nearly got executed, and then got signed up by NASA so he could fuel a rocket with farts. Might add, it all took place in 1 week, and Ron Weasley's in it. Go on.
Yeah,
I'm
but
pretty sure I've seen it.
yeah, but more
Good.
more crazy in like the world they live in is just kind of crazy.
I thought what I just said described the world.
you were,
I would have thought, yeah.
you were like saying the plot there, but I mean like just an average day in that world would be crazy.
An average day in that world would be an equivalent of 2 years in our world. Go on.
Yes, so
Go with your review.
look, we had a crazy world there, and then the rest of the movies that we did on this show, I don't know if any of them, please correct me if I'm wrong, because maybe year one would count, they had like that kind of level crazy world.
No, we've done quite a lot. Surf Ninjas had a pretty crazy world.
Surf Ninjas 2,
It had
yeah.
frictionless ground.
Frictionless ground, yeah, there were a lot of movies that we had like a strange law of nature there, like frictionless ground on dirt or anything like that. This movie right here, it had a crazy world, and I feel like more than any other, because they've all had ridiculous stuff, this one went above and beyond in terms of the crazy. Just simply, even if the rest of the world was normal, even if you can look past the Brazilianaires' craziness, the way they behave, because you could be like, yeah, they are so rich that they're out of touch with reality. A speeding ticket to them could just be like a entrance fee to being able to do whatever they want. Yeah, it's like, oh, you sped? Well, you got to pay money in order to be allowed to speed, rather than it being a punishment.
Yeah.
Or they just offer fish tacos.
Yes, so even if you
Things that works so well.
even if you disregard all of that, that Vulcanvania, was that his name? Vulcanvania?
Yeah.
Volcavania?
Vulcanmania.
Vulcanvania.
They vulcanizers.
Yes. Vulcanvania alone is what makes this world one of the craziest that we've seen. The mise-en-scene of this movie, above and beyond any we've done on the show, and maybe any that we've seen recently.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, Star Wars, it's set in a million places,
But
so you
it's
can't...
not as bizarre.
But it's not as bizarre.
It's not as sexy.
It's not as sexy.
This movie has great mise-en-scene, a lot of sexiness, as you just said, and even the parts that aren't the really crazy bits, they have great moments. Like, again, the Brazilianaires. Yes, so this movie, it's a I guess this is why it's an adventure.
Yeah, it's Adventure of the Soul.
Yes, and this movie also, I mentioned in the Baby's Day Out episode that there was a lot of like destiny, the world bringing the movie to us. This one sort of did too for me, because I told this to Ryan in a few weeks ago, just outside of this show, that a game that I was really looking forward to was coming out, and it came out a couple of days ago. It's called Zero Time Dilemma, and that's about a bunch of people being trapped in a shelter with a bunch of death traps going on, and it really reminded me of this house.
This movie.
Yeah, and like,
That's Scooby-Doo.
is it a and Scooby-Doo, yes. Is it a coincidence that a few days after I finished that game, I watched this movie?
I think not.
I don't think so either, Ryan.
The stars have aligned.
I do
This is
not
great.
think so. Everything has played out so that I watched this movie. You mentioned this movie to me after I did that thing right there where I played the game I was really waiting for.
Great.
So that is my review of this movie.
What's your rating, though, buddy?
I have to give this movie a rating, and if I had to give it a rating, which I have to do...
Or you get John Candy.
I always like to quote you, because you're always like, if I had to give this movie a rating...
Like, I feel like what my whole thing is with that is, it's like, I feel like, like, the movie's making me give it a rating because it's
Yeah.
that good.
Yeah, you can't boil anything down to a rating, but we have to give it one.
Yeah.
And this movie, I would have to give it my penis.
Great. Mischebella's like,
Oh.
damn, I wanted the penis.
That was...
damn.
I wanted it.
damn.
I wanted it.
Mischabella, let's hear from you. A quick review and a rating of out of anything you desire.
Anything. All right. Well,
But no penis.
No.
No, you can have a penis, but in a different way to
Gosh, darn
Bartek's.
it.
In a different way to Bartek's penis.
well, I think this one really appealed to me just because, like you said before, the sheer effort and thought that went into this, just the scenery, just the set itself, just everything was so just well thought out. They didn't skimp on anything. I loved it. I absolutely loved it. There was always something to look at. If it wasn't the penis, it was something else.
It was
Boobs,
a giant baby.
boobs, babies, books, whatever it is. But I love this. I love that I was able to watch it. Similarly, I think if I had watched it when I was younger, I would have hated it.
Yeah.
What is this? But I'm glad that I've experienced it. Again, ashamed that I didn't describe it earlier.
Yeah, well, it's okay. I'm like the messiah when it comes to great weird movies. It's like, Ryan, what's a movie that you can recommend? Nothing but trouble.
Nothing but trouble.
If you had to give it a rating?
Fish tacos.
Fish tacos out of
Fish
fish tacos.
Ryan,
What?
do you and I like fish?
Yes. No, I hate fish. So do you. But if there were a taco form, then I would go to Brazil.
Yep.
So, other people had other things to say. I've got a variety of reviews here from IMDb. Some of them positive, some of them negative. Because it's always good to get a mixed bag. Because, like I said, I had a mixed bag feeling with this when I was growing up, and so did others. So, this is a 10-star review to start off fresh. A surreal comedy is a title. Is the title. This film is bound to become a cult legend and shows Dan Aykroyd at his finest. I highly recommend it to anyone who finds humour in the absurd. The film, though bizarre, reflects society in an uncanny way. Somehow the characters portrayed in the movie seem strangely familiar, and this can even be unsettling. Where have I seen them before? A lot of work went into this film, and it should, and this is like their little acronym. I don't know what this stands for because I didn't Google it. And it should, IMHO. What
In
is-
my
That's-
humble opinion.
Oh, it's in my humble opinion. See, I don't
Oh,
speak internet.
Because I'm a
I thought it
cool
was-
dude.
wait, I thought it
I'm
was honest.
A hip giant.
Oh, well, in my...
Also, it's not an anachronism, it's an abbreviation.
it's an anachronism to my language.
Humble or honest opinion.
In my honey opinion, be taken very seriously as comic art of the highest form. I give this film a 9 out of 10, but they gave it a 10 out
10
of 10.
out of 10.
Also, because it
Officially.
used IMHO, what year was that review?
2001.
Okay.
So it was
Ahead
probably
of the
honey.
time.
Wow.
This next
Probably
one
honey, yeah.
is a 7-star review. The title leads into the review. The title is the first 2 words, so just prepare yourself. This is
Okay.
a movie you can watch when you want lots of interesting characters, scenery, and complete nonsense everywhere you look. This movie was never intended to be an intellectual masterpiece. It was made to make people laugh and to entertain. On many levels, it's very similar to movies like Scary Movie and The Burbs, which have decent ratings, might I add. I just don't understand the average person these days and what they seem to like about anything. Movies like Traffic get 10s, and movies like this get 3.5s. Traffic was a total bore fest, and this movie kept me entertained. Before everyone starts thinking, this guy is out for lunch. Before anyone starts thinking, this guy is out for lunch, keep in mind that one of my favorite movies of all time is Brazil. A movie which got amazing reviews and is, in my opinion, equally as unsettling. And that's the end. So they're like, hey, don't get me wrong, I like Brazil.
So he didn't give it a rating yet. His argument was ratings.
Yeah, his argument was like, you know, in my opinion, you guys are idiots, but I like Brazil, so it's okay. And I'm like,
It's
this
all
guy,
excuse.
before you think this guy's out for lunch. Now, here's a negative one, I do believe,
Oh, let's brace
in my
ourselves
memory.
for
But
this.
can I share a fun fact? This was written by Dr. Gore. So I love the idea that it's Al Gore. Burn the negatives. Leave no survivors. No stars. No star rating here. Spoiler alert, spoiler alert. That's how it opens. Nothing But Trouble holds a special place on my all-time worst movies ever list of shame. It's easily one of the top 10 worst movies, but it also holds the distinction of being one of the very few movies I've ever walked out on. Yes, it is with the great shame that I must confess that I saw this garbage in the movie theatre. When I saw Demi Moore being captive by two disgusting blobs, I knew that it had hit its peak. One blob screamed, "I want another bowl of cereal!" I wanted to leave with my stomach intact. I bolted for the exits. My family was with me and I had to leave too since I had the car keys. I have no idea how this movie ends and I want to keep it that way. Stick this movie in a time capsule and never dig it up. Better yet, burn the negatives to keep some poor, cold family warm. Do something useful with this junk, because to watch this movie is to hate this movie. The fact that so many talented comedians were in this makes it sting even harder. I don't know how this train wreck could be allowed to happen. I just don't know that. I just know that no human being should have to sit through this.
I bet that's Roger Ebert's best friend.
Yeah.
I bet it's Roger Ebert.
You know, when Roger Ebert told those teenagers to make more noise...
It's one of these teenagers?
Do you reckon they did, or do you reckon they were disgusted with
I reckon that would be like, "Who are you, old man?" And he's just like, "Didn't I tell you? It's me, Ebert," and flips the skateboard. And they're like, "Oh, he's cool."
Oh, yeah.
This one is an 8-star review from 2011, so fairly recent, but don't worry. It gets great. A superior litmus test.
Okay.
This is a very funny as well as very entertaining sachet in and out of the world of weird. If you're rigid with your own expectations, do yourself a favor and expect Tutu, yeah, they wrote two twice, Tutu be generous with your poetic chits. The movie jumps in and out, a lot of out, of the real world from start to finish, never getting comfortable for those predisposed to not get comfortable with stuff like this. The show comes off as so stupid that even when it's clever, it looks stupid. By the third watch, nothing about this movie is stupid. Most of it is funny. And so, the litmus test. If you meet someone and there's a romantic spark and that person admits that they really like the movie, you found your soulmate. And if you meet someone who says the movie was so stupid, you've met on the soldiers that they left the T out, don't we? That comprise the masses. Ooh, I said it! And that's the end of the review. And this is the last review, guys. 9 stars. Called Ignore the Haters.
Okay.
It's from It's from 2016. Written on the 30th of April. They could have got inspired by us and they're like, "Oh, we better do this one for those guys. I hope they read it one day." I hadn't seen
That's my name day.
I hadn't seen this movie for probably 20 years. I'm a big fan of John Candy and Chevy Chase from the late 80s / early 90s. I'm not sure what triggered my brain to think about this specific movie, but something did, so I went online and bought the DVD. After the impulse purchase, I was having a little buyer's remorse from reading the overwhelmingly negative reviews on here. I was questioning my choice and asking myself, was it not as funny as I remembered? I just finished watching it and my post-purchase trepidation was a waste of time and energy. Was it the funniest thing on the planet? No. Did it entertain me and make me chuckle? Yes. Was it worth the $4 I paid for the DVD? Hell yes! The frequent Chevy Chase comments throughout the film alone are worth that. If you don't if you don't like it, God bless your little hearts, and find something better to do than post negativity when none is needed. Smiley face. End review.
I love that one.
I
That's
just
my
love-
favorite.
I love, God bless your little hearts.
Once again, it's not the villains bringing in religion. It's everyone else.
Everyone else.
So that, guys, was Nothing But Trouble, 1991, Dan Aykroyd's wonderful creation. Bartek, Mischabella, is there anything that you guys just want to kind of discuss or bring up about the movie that we didn't really get a chance to talk about, or something that's kind of lingering on you?
Nothing But Trouble was nothing like trouble.
Oh, God bless your little heart.
Thank you. Also, I didn't mention, but that first review you read, I liked how it used the word legend instead of classic.
Appropriate.
I think it was cult legend.
Yes,
Cult
cult
legend.
legend. Nothing else. I think I do want to discuss just the fact that this film came out in general is an astonishing thing, because it's not a good-looking film. Like, visually looking at it, like, it's murky. It's kind of got this mustard color to it. It's kind of really, it's just, but
Unpolished.
It's, oh,
Not in like
we
a.
could give it a spit and polish.
Yeah.
Oh,
Not in
hey,
a,
oh.
not in a negative way, but in like, oh, it looks a bit dirty.
Yeah.
Could use a bit of a rub.
But would you want to rub Dan Aykroyd? No, no, no. Yes, no.
Yeah.
Well, other than that, I had a real ball with this movie. This movie, for the last 2 weeks, I've been thinking about this movie. I was like, oh, we got to do it. And I was so pumped that instead of, usually I watch this the day before we do these recordings, I watch this like 4 days in advance, because I'm like, I can't wait. And I wanted to see the household reaction. And the household reaction was very mixed. My girlfriend proclaimed that it was worse than Meet Dave, which she proclaimed to be the worst thing she had ever seen. But then after a long argument, discussion between everyone in the household, she retracted that comment, being like, no, you know what, like, this actually had, like, balls to it, and, like, imagination and a kind of weight that Meet Dave didn't have. But Meet Dave had comedy, and this not so much. This movie, I really do recommend watching, not just by yourself. Watch it with others, because it is one that will bring up philosophical arguments for years to come.
So does your girlfriend, Rachel, who's been on this show, does she hate movies with people that have been in Community?
Yes? Who in Community was in
Meet Dave.
Meet Dave?
Welcome to Old Navy.
Eddie Murphy?
The black woman.
Oh yeah, I can't remember her name from Community. Yes. Well, was she in that? Yes.
She was the first person to say welcome to Old Navy.
Welcome to Old Navy, guys. Reference to Meet Dave. Great film. Check that out. Other than that, you guys have been great listening people, of course. You, Mischabella, have been a great guest, of course.
Thank you.
Lots of emotional things were had during this movie. I'm glad that we had a hero to stand next to us, to hold our hands, to tell us it's okay to point out the boobs and the penises, and to be confused. It's okay to be confused.
Ryan's not joking. Mischabella is an international hero.
She's an international,
Like,
intergalactic hero.
she saved everyone.
She's in the new Star Wars movie. Forget John Boyega, just cast Mischabella. I don't care. And they'll be like, come on, Mish, we need you to wear a white outfit. You're like, no, black is all I wear.
No, black.
Black is all I wear. And you just throw a cigarette at them. And you're like, and they're like,
And
I'll be like,
right after
Mischabella, I
the
didn't.
sunset with my skateboard.
And I'll be like, Mischabella, I didn't know you smoked. It's like, it's not my cigarette. I just light them so when I know someone's going to talk to me, I can flick at them.
Ryan, half of that last thing you just said was red on the microphone.
No! Oh, well. You guys have been fantastic. You can check out all of our stuff on iTunes and Podbean. Spin Polish Presents. We have quite a long list now of episodes and movies we've talked about that you can enjoy. Hell, you have over 24 hours worth of enjoyment now. Well over that. You can sit and listen to our stuff for 3 days if you really wanted to, which I suggest you should do, especially with this movie, Nothing But Trouble. You guys have been fantastic, great, amazing listening people. If you feel like you want to get in contact with us, you can contact us on Facebook with the Spit and Polish Presents Facebook page. Give us suggestions for a movie, because hey, we may not have done this one, and you know, we may not ever do the one that you're thinking, hey, how come they haven't done that one yet? Surely that's on their list. It may not be. Mate, remember to be kind to each other.
Yes. Spit and Polish Presents is brought to you by remote controls in a great ball.